Then Map knows about it.
I'm everyone.
So, sorry, when anyone's talking here,
Yes.
or when I talk there, it's really convenient for everyone, especially for the remotes, if everyone else is silent, because the microphone will pick up sound everywhere. So for everyone's comfort, whenever someone is speaking here or there, please be quiet.
Do we have a room for deliberations? Off camera.
Probably.
So if we need to talk.
There, you can go in there.
Okay. Nice.
Okay.
So kids from here.
And close the kid and close the.
Ah, okay.
Because that's the most sound to go in.
But don't we?
That is, you can hear very much over there.
Okay, well then go there. Anywhere that isn't here. Important to know, we're streaming live and we're streaming public. So mind your language. There's children watching this.
And stay close.
Do they understand Czech?
Some of them will, because it's broadcasted through this internet thingy, which means that it goes all over the web.
So we should stay closed at all times.
You know, the internet. That's an interesting thing.
We're gonna start the streaming now. So basically everything from now on will be sent. It's also recorded, so whatever you say will be saved for eternity or until the file is corrupted, whichever happens first. And we're gonna also try to see if we can get the remote delegates functioning so that they can speak from there. And I'm gonna do that now. Is it up and running?
Did you find it? Yeah. Why did you?
Hello everyone, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes.
You sure?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Sorry, Jens,
Yes,
ask me.
I can.
I really don't know what to do
I don't
about
care.
it because you need
Excellent.
to propose when we are.
There's no
approving
picture view. Is that because you don't have camera on your computer?
I'll turn it off.
Proposing
It's perfectly fine. I just wanted to know if it was
will be
a failure of our side or if it was just an
you
off
need to
switch.
propose an alternative
Okay,
agenda
thank
sequence
you.
on their emails. And,
Okay.
but you have to say to me, not to me. I really can't do anything about
Okay,
it.
because my understanding was that I send it to the board, and the board will forward it to the chair of the meeting.
Okay, I can forward it to Map.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. Like, why? It's so complicated.
Alright, let's start. It's only 20 minutes late.
With the record.
Hi everybody. Welcome to Iceland. Welcome to the darkness, to the cold, to the hot coffee, to the hot springs, hopefully. Hi everyone who's joining us and all the delegates as well joining us live. On the stream or in video conferencing. I'd like to welcome you to this council meeting of the European Pirates on behalf of not just Icelandic pirates, but the board of the European Pirates. So, welcome. We're very happy to have you. Very glad that you could make it. I have had the honor of chairing this amazing organization of pirate movements for the past year. It was a great honor to be able to do that and to serve the European pirates in that way. Those of you who were there in Prague, and thanks to the Czech Pirates for having a very good event as well, may remember that in the short speech that I had for my nomination, I talked about the way that pirates often spend hours on end discussing the exact make and the exact color of all the leaves that the different trees have, and they end up always finding points in which they contest because leaves change color, leaves fall off, leaves grow out. And while all of this is happening, pirates keep finding themselves in a new situation with new things to discuss. And I believe that I, at the end of that speech, said, it is time for us to come back. It's time for us to go back into our roots and remember why we are the activists that we are, why this matters to us, what it is that drives us, and where that passion is going to lead us in the future. Because as I know, members of the current board continuously say, and I think all of us should remember, is that pirate politics is not left or right. It is not past, it is, however, the future. And in our future, we will have all the seasons, and all of these leaves will continue to fall, change color, and regrow. I was reminded of this while organizing the event here in Iceland, and I came across a quote which I wanted to share with you. And the quote goes, "Maybe you're searching among the branches for what only appears in the roots." It is not exactly the same analogy of the leaves and the roots. However, as we are branches of the same international organization, the same international movement, we are the branches, and the only thing that keeps us all together are our roots. So I'd like to take the same opportunity now as I had last year, and as departing chair, to thank you all, departing and current members of the board and this movement, for this extraordinary last year that has given us challenges, opportunities, and that will allow us to continually grow and come back from the leaves to our branches, down to our roots, where we gather. Why are these roots so important? Well, since the first Pirate Party in Sweden, we continue to be what I consider the only real alternative to the establishment, to the way in which politics is done today. We continue to challenge the status quo. We continue to look to the future when it comes to policies. We do that on a municipality level, on a parliament level now also in Luxembourg, and we will continue to grow as movements in our different countries. And we do so in the European Parliament. We're faced with these new European Parliament elections next year, and I have great hopes and aspirations as to where that will bring us as movements of the same roots. Looking at the world today, I don't believe there's ever been a time and a place where pirates have been needed as much as now. I've been brought up to believe that it is when you are faced with hardship that your true character emerges. It is in the most difficult times that you have the chance to show what you are made of. I believe that the people here today have in the past year and will continue to have the core and the roots needed for us to stand together jointly, to put aside whatever it is that may or may not divide us in how we view these leaves, and get back to the real reason why we are in pirate politics. We all know what they are. They have to do with borderless. It has to do with 21st century legal environments. It has to do with giving rights back to individuals on many levels. So I have been fortunate enough to chair this particular branch of pirate organization, and I want to encourage whoever will end up on the board this afternoon to remember this, that there is more that unites us than there is dividing us. There is more energy in this room to fight whatever it is we want to change than in any other political movement that I see in Europe right now. So this is our opportunity to take on the challenges that we see in Europe of fascism, of racism, of sexism. We've seen it within our own movements. We will take these things the hard way. We need to go the hard way, because without that, there will be no change. If we do not open our eyes and take on the challenge that we face, we will never, ever change it. We will never be in a position where we are not only practicing what we preach, but we are leading by example. I truly believe that the pirate movements of Europe that are combined in the European Pirates are not our only hope, to quote a very, very nice Star Wars movie, but it is our best chance, and I believe that we can do it. So, with that, I welcome you to Reykjavik, I welcome you to Iceland. I look forward to the conversations that we're having, and most of all, I look forward to us kicking off the European parliamentary elections in style. So let's do our best and welcome.
I think that was a chance for me to move over to the more formal things. First, I have a request to the hosts. Do you have one of those nifty hammers that I can make a noise with?
I have a Thor's hammer, will that do?
That will do, as long as I can lift it.
Don't try
Yeah.
to do too many lightnings.
Are you worthy?
So, we are now briefly delayed, and we will try to move swiftly to catch up. I talk fast, I talk nonsense, and you will probably get confused sometimes during the meeting from what I'm saying. I get confused from what I'm saying all the time. Don't hesitate to raise your arms and ask me to clarify. It will help you, and it will help me, and it will help the entire meeting. Asking for clarification is good for everyone. So don't feel shy of doing that. So we'll go straight to the formalities. Who has gotten their? Who here is a delegate who hasn't got their voting cards yet? Hands up. That is
Nobody
basically
has-
everyone.
She collected them back.
Excellent. Then I will happily request for our hosts to distribute voting cards accordingly, because we can't really make decisions without them. As long as there are disagreements on decisions. That means that the moment we are no longer in consensus, we'll pause until we have the voting cards. But to save time, we will continue as long as there seems to be consensus. So, the meeting has been opened. The first point on the agenda is to elect a chair for the meeting. And I have been...
Do we have an agenda already?
Yes, it's on the PPEU wiki. On the European Pirate Party website, there is a link to the
There have
wiki
been-
with the agenda.
There have been. I'm aware there have been a competing suggestion for an agenda on the email 2 days ago. Shouldn't we discuss about which agenda to follow? After the chair?
So, where does the difference start?
I sent you the email.
I think I've seen the email. So,
Mhm.
does it happen now?
No,
Well, then let's
The-
go through the formalities. It's easier to discuss the different agendas when we have a chair and minute takers to discuss those.
Fantastic.
So on the formalities, we have chair, secretary, agenda. Let's start with chair, then secretary, then agenda. So I have been asked to chair the meeting by the host, but of course, chairing the meeting is a decision by the meeting. So if there's any other proposals for a chair, please put them forward now. I take that as no other proposals. Therefore, I ask the meeting if the meeting wants to elect me to chair this meeting, and by me being Matthias Björneman, shortened to Mav at all times. If you are in favor, we will do this by acclamation because you don't have voting cards. Anyone in favor? Go yes now.
Yes.
Anyone against? Go yes now. Anyone abstaining? Go yes now. Then I find that you have elected me chair, and this is when I would need a little club, but I will just do that instead. The little nod is basically to let you know that we're going on to the next point. Whenever I bang the hammer, as the technical term is, that means that we move on to the next point. If you think we're moving too fast, this is when you should start waving your arms, and I will pause, and we can discuss if we need to redo anything. Secretaries. We will have plenty of secretaries if we're lucky. I think there's 4 secretaries suggested. Unfortunately, I don't have the name on all of them in front of me. But the 2 that I do remember is the ones that will be taking notes today. It's Peter and Thorgnir. And they will take turns. And do you have the full names of all 4 of you?
Yes. I think I remember.
Do you want to just quickly name the 4 minute takers?
Yeah, so it's Smári McCarthy, Olga something,
Olga Silja,
Olga Silja, Þorgnir
Thoroddsen.
og Pétur Óli Þorvaldsson.
Yes.
Can we follow the minutes anywhere on the pad or whatever?
Or wherever.
Let's do that. Is that important before you elect them? Will that change who you
Yeah,
will?
it's just a question because they have to decide what they have to do with.
Okay.
Where do we, maybe you can copy and paste it. I don't care, but I would want to follow the minutes in the meeting.
So the minutes are currently being written in a pad. I think we can, before lunch, provide a read link to that pad. I think we can do it very shortly. Shouldn't be a problem as far as I see it. That's excellent. But there should easily be a read link to the pad available soon. And I'll just have to disseminate that somehow. So, can we elect Peter, Thorgnir, Olga, and Smauri as minute takers for the meeting? And sorry, we'll still do it by acclamation. So, people in favor go yes.
Yes.
Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? I find that we have elected them. So now we come to the agenda. And here we will have two opposing proposals. I call them the original proposal and the counter proposal. The counter proposal is the one that I think was sent by Jens.
Yes.
Just so you know what we're voting on. From now on, we will. Sorry. Is there any delegate who hasn't gotten their voting cards?
We got it.
Nobody
Okay.
has to vote.
Still haven't gotten the voting card because I saw some
Oh, I got
people
it.
there.
Okay, no.
Okay, they're on their way.
Number 2, number 3.
Then we still do this by acclamation. So maybe Jens will want to come up and explain the difference between the two agendas.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, I've proposed an alternative agenda, which the difference of my agenda is basically that it gives us the time on Sunday to have like a 3-hour session kind of a workshop about how we should organize this election campaigning on the European level. So no agenda items have been removed from the agenda, but it's just a reorganization and a reprioritization, right? And so there's one point that was about a second chamber of the PPEU that has been moved to the end because I consider this not to be such high priority. We have talked about this in the German delegation, and it gives us more time, and it puts all the blocks that deal with the EU elections together, like also the introduction of Patrick Breyer, which is going to happen, and yes.
Yes, sorry, I don't know if I need to be recognized by the chair to speak.
Yes, so the idea is,
Yeah.
the idea is that Jens will present until he's done.
Yes.
Then we will open up for questions. So we're
I'm done.
okay. Is there any questions to Jens who put forward this proposal? Marketa?
I don't, because it's mixed up, you know, the agendas and stuff like that. If you made a room or more time for the European elections, you had to take some time from other points. I can't really see which points. Can you please specify them?
Oh yeah, I think the points about talk about motions, right? I have compressed them a little bit since there are only 4 motions, right? So in the original agenda there was an agenda point for motions today, and then another agenda point to talk about motions tomorrow. And from my understanding, since we only have 4 motions concerning the statutes.
That's actually not correct, but okay.
Yeah. So then.
6 motions.
Okay, then I was missing 2 because I only knew about the 2 from the 4 from Germany. Didn't see the others on the wiki by the time that I proposed the agenda. So from that, I think that it would be possible to do this like in a 1-hour session. Talk about those motions.
Mm-hmm. Plus, if I may, another one.
Another question?
I see after that you also shortened the lunch break. I would therefore maybe like to ask Octavia whether it is even like possible to have lunch break long 1 hour, or if it is not possible because, for example, the food is too far or something like that, so that I can decide whether it is even possible to agree on this agenda.
From my understanding, I didn't shorten it. I just moved it for half an hour. But
no, it's really shortened.
Okay,
our lunch break in the original agenda is hour and a half, and here's it's only hour.
Okay.
Yeah. 12 to 1:30. Now it's 11:30 to 12:30. Yes.
So
So it's moved before, right? And it's shortened.
Yeah.
Moving it before, it's going to be a little bit problematic for us.
Okay.
We would prefer just to have the 1.5 hour slot. However, we're hosts, so whatever our guests decide, of course we will do. So we're completely open to working with whatever the meeting decides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
I
hope
wanted
that
to know if it is, like really possible, like logistically. Because,
Technically.
Because
You're in
for example, in
Iceland, we were
Barcelona, we went to a restaurant like 2 minutes of walk, which was really close, but still
I
it took like
understand.
hour and a half.
We would do our best to make it
Sorry
happen.
to interrupt, but just to get this structure, is there any other questions to Jens, and then we can discuss anything else afterwards? Okay, then Jens, thank you for your presentation. And then any comments, thoughts, questions on the two options? Okay, then I think people have the information they need to make a decision. Is there now any delegate who don't have their voting cards? Then delegates will have...
I have a question.
Yes, a question.
Can we see how remote delegates are voting?
So
and how we can see that?
The remote delegates are voting in a chat connected to that. The chat is not visible there. I will at all times inform the meeting how the remote delegates voted, and the chat is, as far as I understand, saved for eternity, so it can be double-checked afterwards. Yes?
Is there a technical way for include the remote delegates in this meeting so that we can be aware of them, not only when they speak, but also like of that conversation they have, so they address not only you, but actually the meeting itself?
Yes, whenever they address the meeting, they will do so in speaking. Yes. The only thing they don't do in speaking is the votes. That's the only thing that is taking place outside of the meeting. Same as you don't speak, you raise cards. They don't speak, they do there. As far as I understand, I have no means of making that visible on the projector. But if the technical people want to find a solution for that, they can probably try to work on that. But the only way I see it is if those people print their own voting cards and then they will all put their camera on and raise them up there. The problem is I don't think that is feasible. Some of them are probably not able to have cameras. So I think what the current setup is the best setup we have. Opta has...
I have a suggestion that the voting, once it's completed, is made available in the pad by the secretary of the meeting. So it will be, the results will be immediately available to people following the pad.
All votes will be in the pad, including remote and present. All votes will always be in the pad. And that's how we've always done it. And that is how we will do it until we realize that takes a lot of time and we'll come up with a better technical solution for that. Yes.
So you're saying it's in the pad, we can't see the pad right now?
Yes. So, yes.
Okay.
There will, whenever we find out if there's a way to find a viewing link to the pad, otherwise we'll just publish the pad and hope that you don't write it in the wiki.
Well, you give it to me and I put it in the wiki, whatever you want.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr.
So, consensus. So in regular Etherpad, it doesn't seem to be, or in the PP International Etherpad, there doesn't seem to be a view-only version. Is that correct? Anyone who's good at the PP International Etherpad? What does verknüpfung mean?
It means link. It means link.
It just means link, okay. Just because, you know, I found this is pad Thailand, which is of course shared this pad, and then there was just verknüpfung. Okay. Okay, so I think we will just have to share the actual pad and then ask everyone to not write in the pad ever. I think that's the best solution we have. And Bastian, can you remind me of your email address very quickly?
Yeah. Bastian at
Yes.
pirate without an E in it, the end. Pirat.de. .de.
Yes. Bastian at pirat.de.
Pirat.de.de.
Pirat.de.de.
Yes.
Pirat.de.de. Okay. If I actually want to do that right.
Then maybe don't publish it in the wiki.
Ja.
Ja, das ist komplett per Wiki. Dann können E-Mail davon schreiben. Schreiben Sie per E-Mail an die Delegaten, das ist viel besser.
Das kann ich aber nichts von den Delegaten.
So, if that worked,
Wortfragen. Marketer kann es rumschicken.
Link to the page.
yes, and then that can be put on the wiki, and everyone should be able to see the minutes there. So whenever we have consensus, how people voted will not be in the pad because there's consensus. It's only when we have difference of opinions that it needs to be registered. So we are sorry for the little detour in conversation, but now I think you all have soon access to the minutes when you need it. And we are under the agenda. We have two proposals. We have the original proposal and we have the counter proposal. I will ask, and this is how we will do most votes. So I will ask, we will put the two against each other, and whoever wins we will put against a no vote, and then we will end up with no agenda at all if that is what we decide. But that's the best way to make sure that we make a decision that everyone agreed was a decision. So, in the first round, I will ask who supports the agenda, and then, I will ask who supports the original proposal, then I will ask who supports the counter proposal, and then I will ask who abstains. In this vote, you put up your yes card for the option that you're in favor of. You don't need your no card, and during abstain, you can put up any card actually if you want to abstain. Then whoever wins there, I will ask if you want to decide on that agenda, and then you raise your yes, no, or abstention at that time, saving a lot of time. And if you have multiple votes, then you have multiple votes.
Ich schreibe gerade den neuen Counter-Proposal da rein.
Also, okay.
Now, is there anyone who isn't ready to go to decision? Excellent. Then we are in the decision. So, who is in favor of the original proposal? Votes up now.
Ich bin raus.
Who is in favor of the counter proposal? Votes up now. Who is abstaining? Well,
And how are the remotes included?
They do vote.
Would you please repeat the vote? We missed our chance there.
sorry. So,
And for us, the remote delegate Marek is
The
voting.
counter
so-
proposal is now in the wiki, by the way.
Is it?
Kannst du bitte nur die Ja-Karte heben? Weil von der Rückseite sieht aus, als ob du was Komisches machst. Nur die weiße Karte, nicht alle drei auf einmal. Weil sonst sieht man auf der Rückseite die andere Farbe und das ist die Kamera,
Ja,
die
klar.
360-Grad-Kamera, das verwirrt.
Ja,
Und mich verwirrt.
sorry.
Ach, deswegen.
Weil ich nie sehe, was du stimmst. Das
Ja, ja.
verwirrt mich. Du kannst machen, was du willst. Das ist mir egal.
So, that is on the wiki.
And you put the Altinge visit in the original agenda, there's no Altinge visit. I thought we do Altinge visit anyway.
No, no, that is not true.
Der Originalagenda steht nichts, im Wiki steht nichts von Altinge visit.
Okay, dann ich glaube, dazu ein Update.
Okay.
Das heißt, die Agenda, die ihr abstimmt,
Der hat gesagt, dass
das
im
ist
Wiki
nicht
steht.
die im Wiki steht.
Er hat gesagt, die im Wiki steht. Im Wiki steht ist die. Okay, so one point
Yes.
of clarification. Apparently, there had been an updated agenda that you probably have in mind.
Okay.
That original agenda that we're voting against that includes the visit to Altingi. Yes.
So,
So the one in the wiki
Mhm.
does not been updated to reflect that. So the version in the wiki doesn't, the original one,
mhm.
does not have the visit to the Icelandic Parliament this
Ah.
afternoon. So this might be a confusion, it's additional confusion. So the version in the wiki is not the one that you have in mind.
Thank you. That makes everything much more clearer, or rather
Complicated.
unclearer. But hopefully, to help us sort this out, we have Okta.
The visit to the Icelandic Parliament at Sovereignty Day today is not a part of the official agenda. It is an informal part, and thus it was not included as per the board meeting that the PPU had last Sunday, that there would be one link with informal and formal agenda, but the formal agenda is what we would be voting on now.
Yes.
So-
Could you just inform me
I'm
at what
confused.
time the visit is?
When this meeting closes at 4, we have an hour to get to Parliament.
So, but in the wiki we have a contents after 4, which is part in the original proposal.
That
In
was
the wiki-
because when I put up my proposal, okay, I was referring to the agenda that also included the unofficial ones because I didn't know that there are two proposals, and so I
So the wiki
did
has
a
not been
proposal
updated with your
to the
version.
latest agenda that I was aware of. Nein.
Ja, das ist okay. Das ist nicht, wenn man minimal ändert. Jetzt noch minimal ändern. Jetzt sind wir durch. Aber das ist nicht schlimm. Wir sind nicht unglücklich miteinander. Weil das alles Accounting entscheidet ist inzwischen.
Doch, doch. Das entscheidet.
Ja, ich habe den Reihenfolge ist anders. Ich habe schon verstanden.
So, just to get it clear, the agenda that is linked from the page is not the original agenda that was sent out. Is that correct?
Look like it.
In the agenda I have in the wiki, there's a European elections this evening. Is that the original agenda or
No.
something else?
That's some kind of mistake, which
Okay.
we don't know how it happened. But
Oh.
Can you
change it?
after the wiki was updated?
So,
Can you put the agenda we're voting about into the wiki?
no. But I can read it out loud as soon as I have it in front of me.
Okay.
Will you correct it?
Wenn ich eine habe, was ich kopieren kann, ich war mir nicht sicher. Wenn ich einen Text habe, kann ich rein kopieren. Wenn ich keinen Text habe, kann ich nicht kopieren. Das wird nicht abtypiert.
So, we have a bit of a technical problem. I will need someone to send me the original agenda that was sent out, because that is one of the proposals.
If you send it me, I can put it in the wiki.
I don't, so I need it myself, because the one that is on the wiki is not the right one.
Correct.
Yes, Okta.
I will send it to you and I will update the wiki.
Excellent. Then I suggest that we take 10 minutes break.
Thank you.
That's great.
As usual. It's like
Víš, co
business as
znamená
usual.
SASL access only? Co dělám špatně?
By to bylo
Sorry to have brought it up.
Ten mě napsal
Jak to vzniklo, prosím?
Marek Nečeva, je na IRCčku, třeba na webchatu a
Okay, I also got it. I've also found it.
webchat.
The original one. I can use it.
Teď si to tím, že je tady omezená Wi-Fi. Ahoj. Přišel, akorát, hele, mám tady napsáno problém s připojením a v závorce closing link, gateway webchat SASL access only. Jo. Aha, hele, já jsem zkoušela i Kiwi, ale jako Kiwi JRC, ale tady, když kliknu na Try Me a dám Add Network, hele, já si asi umím, ne, počkej. Aha, hele, umíš se připojit do chlívu? Mám? Jo, Telegram mám taky teda, ale právě jsem joinla chlív, takže možná se potkejme tam. To, a myslím, že taky memene vždycky. Jo, ale já jsem tam Coffee a prosím tě, napiš mi tu soukromou zprávu ty, já nevím, jak se to přesně dělá, tak ať... a prosím ji napiš a pak už budu, že se můžu připojit do toho vlastně chatu. Jsem couk i, to víš asi. Dík. Teď je pauza, protože je tam špatný tak. Jo, super. Ahoj.
Zitten hier.
Jens, could you email me your counter proposal?
I've put it on the wiki now. I've edited the wiki.
So,
Já, það stendur náttúrulega. Já. Ég ætla að snúa svo þarna svo þeir geta sjálfur séð hvað þeir eru að setja.
I'm sorry, but since you told us in the car yesterday that outing it was not there, and I said like Jens has not invented it, obviously there must be another version. Because he invented the article, is it yes? How cool is that? Not asking, but it just put stuff in the agenda.
No, but it's not official. It's not
Yeah, it's okay.
official
Yeah,
part of the
sure, but
visit,
if it's but it cannot be something other in parallel, I guess, if you organize that. So it might be not official, but it's not like it have a EU election discussion in parallel. It will not work.
No.
So.
Well, it will work, but people would have to
Oh,
show.
this is the part. I saw it yesterday lying on the floor. I put it on the table. I was wondering what it is. Now I see it.
Yeah.
Is it the part, right? Oh, it's different.
Necklace.
Yeah, I know. No, there was a yesterday part that was put on the table. It looks like almost like that.
Maybe.
But it was something different.
Yeah.
I was confused.
No worries. No worries.
I was confused what it was. It was very strange, but it was round and shaped.
Similar.
Similar,
Yeah.
but I think the other is metallic. So
Yes.
the other one was rubber.
Matt, if you correct this in the minutes, I will take it and it's with the wiki.
if I can correct, sorry, if I correct what in the minutes? Is The wiki is now updated with both options. Apparently there's multiple people who has...
And I will go to it's really good.
Je Palestijns, ja, kunt je maar kraut dus. Dat je niet strand hangen.
Die kan dus wel
Markétko.
Sì.
Oh. So international.
Jo, počkej, já jenom musím zjistit, jak se to dělá. Teď freenout, tady jdem vrátit. No. Hele, join lesem. Vidíš mě? Seš KKT? Dobře, tak tady si budeme povídat. Tak jo, já teď jdu jako na chvíli ven, teď je ta pauza a za chvíli se vrátím a můžeme si povídat. Dík, super. Načená barlej v chlívu, tak to je halus.
Máš tady Františka. Že tady máš Františka, jestli se chceš domluvat napřímo.
On už je tady?
Jo, před chvíli dorazil.
Aha.
One second, sorry. So we want to have these road parties with the road and then do that at bottom to touch and just copy paste it.
Das ist einfach weit rausgelegt. Das ist eine Einmischung das ist schon ziemlich, ja, aber das ist eben, wir sind ja nicht auch ohne Schön, das ist ein Mitglied unterstützt etwas, was ist tatsächlich diplomatisch sagen, also das ist einer unschön. Das kann man machen, das ist aber echt unschön. Wir unterstützen konkrete Personen. Wir sind dafür, dass die ob die jetzt unabhängig ist oder nicht, es ist eine innere Angelegenheit und die müssen selber entscheiden und selber die Entscheidung werden wir respektieren und unterstützen, aber wir werden den Teufel tun, da einzumischen mit einer Meinung, was sollte oder was nicht sollte. Das ist echt das ist unschön, wenn die Leute in anderen Ländern das tun. Schlichtweg. Ja, wir unterstützen, dass die Menschenrechte gehört werden. Wir finden tatsächlich, dass wir was das ist nicht okay. Das ist definitiv, kann man als Konsens stehen lassen, ziemlich sicher. Aber wie die Entscheidung der katalanischen Bevölkerung, also wir sind dafür, dass die katalanischen Bevölkerung selber entscheiden kann, wir sind dafür, aber wie die entscheidet, können wir auch nicht entscheiden. Ob sie jetzt davor oder dagegen stimmen soll für den Vertrag in Spanien oder eigene oder du dazu oder sonst wie? Nein, wir sind dafür, dass Sie abstimmen sollen, dass Sie natürlich direkt auf Selbstverwirklichung haben.
Soweit gehen die Deutschen gar nicht. Die deutsche Position ist zum Beispiel, solange die Verfassung in Spanien nicht geändert ist und es gibt keine Möglichkeit, in Katalonien durchzuführen, spanische Angelegenheit.
Deutschland ist natürlich auch Deutschland. Das ist die öffentliche Meinung. Nein, wir wollen keine Referendum. Wir wollen dafür, dass die Leute, abstimmen dürfen, ob die Katalonien wirklich ist nicht entschieden. Also ob die das sind wirklich verschiedene Meinungen. Das Volk will wählen, nur weil die Katalanen natürlich darauf brennen und deren Meinung sehr präsent ist, heißt das nicht, dass es die Volksgerät sind. Dafür musst du die andere Seite auch verstehen und kennen. Du kannst dich nicht einseitig bekennen, nur weil deine Seite schön laut ist.
Everyone, if you could please. So, once again, the moment I speak, if you're in mid-sentence, it's still the best possible thing that we can do is just to end your sentence midway.
Can you knock first?
Yes, I will make sure to do when I want to speak after a break, because that will be easier for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then when I speak, if we all pause, listen to me, I might say something interesting, and then you can act on that. So, 10 minutes have passed. We are therefore continuing the meeting. Now, both options are in the wiki. So, and I've sent the link to that to the remote delegates. So, they should have it as well. So, in the wiki that is linked from the web page, there is now 2 versions for the agenda. So on that page, there's the original agenda and the counter proposal. Those are our options. We will be voting on them, but noticing that everything that is in the lines, so the outing visit, evening program, and the lunch breaks, those are all de facto just breaks in the agenda. You're not forced to have lunch during a lunch break. We're just pausing the meeting. Everything that are within those lines are things that happen outside of the agenda of the meeting. I will not chair the outing visit. You will be led there by other people who are better at that. I will not give you an evening program. That will be up to other people. So everything that are within lines is outside of the actual vote, just so that is clear. With that said, is there anyone who don't feel that they can go to voting now? Excellent. Then I find that we are in voting. So, once again, I will ask you if you support the original agenda or the counter proposal, and you will raise the yes for the option that you're in favor of. After that, I will take that and put against no, which would leave us with no agenda. Well, then we'll just deal with it when we end up there. Hopefully that will not happen. So, on the minute taking, I know this has been done differently in the different meetings we've had in the past. Are you expecting me to, or rather the minute takers, to take notes of only the last vote, or also the votes where the different proposals are put against each other?
Both of them.
Results.
So the end results, or all the proposals all the way?
The Germans are for results.
So, from a practical point of view, there's value to both, because, I mean, it is important information. But from a time constraint point of view, only having the resulting vote saves us a lot of time in the minutes. I think if everyone agrees to that we should have as a default that it's only the final vote that goes into the minute, unless any delegate asks to have another vote taken to the minutes. Is there anyone to object to that rule of procedure? Okay, then that is what we will do. So we will always add the last final vote or something against rejection to the minutes. If at any time you want any other vote taken to the minutes, you will have to inform me by doing this or this or this or this, any kind of gesture that gives me knowledge that you want something. And then you should say, please record the vote. Please is optional, record the vote is not optional. That is the information we need to know that we should record the vote. And for the remote delegates, you will need to write that in the chat. You don't have to say it out loud, you just write it in the chat. So, with that said, we now have two proposals, and I will ask who is in favor of the original agenda, raise their ballots. Who is in favor of the counter proposal, raise their ballots. Thank you. Now I will take a short break to see if there comes in votes. So far we have an abstention. So I can also tell you that I told them beforehand that they should be ready to vote. So I try during the discussions to write down in the text here how and when they will be prepared to vote, so that it should go smoother, and that should hopefully mean that we get quicker results. And now we have so I think so I'm closing the vote, and we find that the original proposal wins. On the remote delegates, PP Italy abstained, PP Slovenia abstained, and PP Finland abstained. Yes.
As we can have two delegates, I inform you officially as the executive that Marek Nečeda is also our delegate along with František.
Who is, are they splitting the votes, or is František doing all the voting?
František will be doing all the voting, okay. And in case he's missing or somewhere, Marek will take his place. And
okay, perfect. So, in the first round, the original agenda won. And then we will put that against, rejection. So, once again with the votes, this is where you can vote yes, no, or abstain in one single go. And you just pick the one of your preference. So, can we approve of this agenda? Please vote now. And this is what you need to write down.
Yes.
So, please hold them up. It will also be possible for anyone, so my suggestion is vote down the abstention and then just quickly see that who didn't vote in the room. So,
what are you doing there? It looks strange.
Me?
Yes, only
votes
only take up the votes that you're actually voting.
I'm voting with 5 check votes and with 1.
Yes, but you're also having no's and abstentions up in there. If you look at your votes, you can take off the clip and then you can take one of the cards that is suitable for your vote.
Oh,
because it's confusing.
Otherwise, people that sit in the back will get a different impression.
Okay.
So, sorry, we should have explained that.
Yeah.
You have 3 voting cards. You take the per vote, and you take the voting card in your favor. And if you have multiple ones, you need to, like me. Look, for those wondering, I'm representing the Luxembourgish Pirate Party. I have strict instructions on when to vote. I will not vote very often, but since they have a candidate for the board, they also wanted to be able to vote for that candidate.
Okay.
When you have multiple votes, you do like this. You spread them out clearly. Or, if you want, you split them between 2 hands. That's also possible. But you can't have
Come on.
This. I can't see that this is 5 votes or 3 votes.
Okay.
So it needs to be very
So-
visible. If you can't do it with one hand, use 2 hands. If you can't use 2 hands, use
Okay.
2 hands and an elbow. Like this.
Fucking
3
nice.
votes.
Not case of any party in this convention.
Why do
If you have too many votes to be able to hold them up, you don't need to use all your
Let's
votes.
not be that
You have
successful.
too many.
Find another delegate.
So, having said that, it's very obvious that the meeting has adopted the agenda. Point of information. You have the minutes, you can see them. If you feel that your vote is misrepresented, don't change in the minute, talk to the minute takers, so that all the changes to the votes are only done by the minute takers. Gregory.
Yeah, in the minutes it says that Germany had 3 votes, 1 was abstention and 2 was yes. We had 3 yes votes and abstention was from Switzerland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that.
For just like clarifying which nothing at stake.
That's excellent. We are very grateful for any clarification you can do at any time. The most important thing is not what we decide. The most important thing is that the minutes correctly reflect the decision we were taking. It doesn't matter what we decide here if the minutes says something else. So the most important thing is to get the minutes right. I mean, it's good if we make good decisions as well, but that's secondary to get good minutes. And we will need your help throughout the meeting with that. Sorry, Gregory, you have
No,
something
it's
else?
fixed now.
Excellent. Then, let me see. Now we have an agenda that I can follow. We are now at vote count. My guess is that this is where we list down in the minutes which votes we have at the meeting. So, I don't know if the meeting wants me to go through who is present and who's representing who at this point, or if there is
maybe yes, because I have another technical note.
Okay.
Or, maybe I can just say it.
Sorry, yes, if you go with your technical question first, and then Octavia will sneak up here at the same time with anyone else. So.
Well, it's not a question, it's just that the thing that Ernst, also from Fire Party of Austria, transferred the vote to us. So, if it is possible, František will also raise cards for PP80.
That is so.
I think it's not.
Okay.
Please let the chair answer.
So, they can't transfer the vote to you in the sense of the Czech Pirate Party. They can delegate it to any specific person. That person cannot be you or Mikuláš. So if the Austrians delegate their, so if the Austrians decide that František is their delegate, then he will be able to vote for them.
Okay, yeah. I wrote to Ernst already, so I will wait, and maybe then I will tell you.
Ask him to forward that to the council list. Was there another question, or okay? Then.
So the best is I don't need those.
So, I've been told that the wiki should be correct on this. So, list of delegates. And I can instantly see that the wiki isn't correct because it doesn't say the number of votes and there's people on the wiki that aren't delegates. So here you don't have the number of votes. This is what we're. This is the one I found from. So this is So here's the number of votes.
Now we just need the updated list of delegates.
Each person can name the representative with no more than 2 members.
Ich habe hier ein paar Folien, die ich gerne auf den Beamer abnehme. Sonst hier Bildschirm mit der geht das?
Das ist der Laptop hier links daneben. Das geht. Hast du es auf dem USB-Stick oder
Ich kann es
URL?
machen, ja. Ich kann es durch.
Wenn du eine URL hast, geht das auch.
Müsste das nur einer bedienen, weil ich nicht beides kann.
Ich weiß nicht, wo das bedient wird.
Da fragen wir die Octavia. Da fragen wir die Octavia.
Die Octavia macht das nicht.
Well, if we don't have it, then send it to me.
Yeah, the treasurer would like to put up slides on the screen.
Okay.
So it should be sent to you or to somebody who's operating the
Treasurer
screen?
can also just, you come up, there's a, just
Yeah.
hook up them yourself. That's no problem.
Okay.
PPU is Maya. And our PP, the chap was Thomas Gold.
So my suggestion is that we will go through the list in that is on the page, and then the minute taker will write down the names. So if you have this in front of you, you can just copy paste, and the number of votes. So, from my understanding, Austria has So, question.
I would like to draw the chair's attention to the current standing rules of procedures, which have pointed out a different procedure for remote delegates than you have just explained.
Okay.
And the question how we should deal with it. Should we change the rules of procedure for this meeting to accommodate the procedure that you suggested? Because currently remote delegates need to have a proxy appointed by the chair of the meeting, and obviously we don't do the proxies as you explained. So, but we still have it in the rules of procedure.
So, as far as I understand, the rules of procedure are adopted by the meeting.
Now they're standing, if they're not changed.
Interesting. Are they in the statutes?
It was a decision that is standing somewhere. It says. It says somewhere, but we can change them anytime.
So let's deal with that after we've done the list of delegates.
Okay. Yep.
So we have country by country, and we will just go through them. Austria has Ernst Spitalo as delegate with one vote. That might change, we've been informed, but up until that is the case. The Belgian Pirate Party and the Croatian Pirate Party have both one vote. They have no delegate, so they will not participate in the meeting. The Czech Pirate Party has 5 votes, and they have 2 delegates, and that is Marek Nekada and František. František, what is your surname?
Kopřiva.
Kopřiva.
Great.
That will end up in the minute. So, okay. You can go with František and Marek and then add the surnames at a suitable time. And it should be the order František and then Marek, and then after František you put 5 within brackets to indicate that that is where the 5 votes are. After that, we have the Estonian Pirates with 1 vote, but they're not present, so they will not be voting. We have the Finnish Pirates with 1 vote, and they are represented by Maja, remotely. She is participating remotely. Then we have the French pirates with 1 vote, and that is Francois Tabuteau with 1 vote. Then we have the German Pirate Party, and they have 3 delegates, and that is Gregory Engels, Jens Stomberg, and Thomas Gohl. And they have, hold on, this is problematic to say the least. This need to be, I will need attention of the German pirates. So according to the information we have on the wiki, you have 3 votes but only 2 delegates.
Why is that so?
Because the statutes gives you 1 extra vote, or 2 extra votes, but apparently no extra delegates. We can check the statutes if you think this information is incorrect.
We had 4. Has it had 4? We had 2 additional.
So I will come back to Germany, but if you can, you can sort that out.
It's okay, no problem. We just we get go of the Thomas.
Okay, that means
No problem. No problem. We just like Jens and me then.
so. Let's see. Gregory Engels, Jens Stomberg, Thomas Gohl. So then we will put Gregory Engels with 2 votes, Jens with 1 vote, and Thomas will be able to take over votes if either of you are absent. Does that make sense?
We can make it if we leave, yeah. If we need to. But right now he's not a delegate.
Yeah. So on the Germany, Gregory is a delegate with 2 votes, and Jens is a delegate with 1 vote. So
may I ask, Jens, aren't you a candidate also?
No.
No. Ah, sorry.
Candidate is not a problem. It's only elected board members that can't be delegates.
As soon as he is elected, he will lose the delegation
after
the council.
Yes.
After the council. That's
So
what I say.
let me please let me continue. We have Greece with 1 delegate, but sorry, with 1 vote, but with no delegate. It says that Tony is a delegate on the wiki, but that is incorrect. He isn't.
I just updated the
wiki?
No, the Google Docs, and then I will update the wiki.
So we just sent the information to Octavian Marketa. The delegates for Greece will be Charalambos.
No, it's actually already updated on the wiki.
10 minutes ago, yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't updated my page. So so the Greek delegates are Harris Kiritsis or Charalambos. How do you pronounce it?
Charalambos, yes.
Charalambos. I will say Harris because that will confuse all of you, but it's much shorter, and therefore it is better. And Stathis. They are the delegates. Harris is the one with the vote. And Italy has Alessandro Giovini as a delegate participating remotely. But hold on. They have 2 delegates. One is Alessandro Ciofini and one is Aram Gurkian. Yes, that needs to be updated on the wiki as well, if possible.
Yes. Alessandro is on his way.
Yes.
But for voting until he arrives is Aram.
Yes, and therefore both need to be listed as delegates on the wiki.
Should I update it, Doctor?
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have Luxembourg with 3 votes, and they are represented by me. And hopefully someone can fix my surname, because not only do I have dots over the A, but it's also spelled totally different.
Sorry.
From there. Then we have the Dutch pirates. They have 1 vote, but they have no delegates. Then we have the Norwegian pirates. They have 1 vote, and they have 1 delegate in Raymond Johansen. He hasn't been present yet, but he hopefully will show up during the meeting. Then we have the Polish pirates. They have 1 vote, and their delegate is Radek Kwiato. Then we have the Romanian pirates. They have 1 vote, but they have no delegate. Then we have the Slovenian pirates, and they as far as I know, their delegates are Rok, Andre, and Mateja. It's good. So Benjamin should be removed
just
from.
one person.
What?
There's a couple between my first names and last names.
Yes. So everything after the first 2 names should be removed on the wiki over Slovenia.
Yeah. Can you please?
Rolando Benjamin, Vas Ferreira, question mark should all be removed on the wiki.
So Benjamin too, and Rock André is he?
Rock André and Matthias should be there.
Okay.
The first two persons should be there.
Okay, edited.
I have not seen them present, but they are listed as delegates. They can come and go online. Then we have PP Catalonia, who here does not have a delegate, but I think they do. We have one, so it would be very, if Exile can be added to the wiki, that would be very, very useful. Then we have Conferata Pirata, who here don't have a delegate. Do they have a delegate? They have one vote, but I'm looking at Opta. They don't have a delegate. Well, then that is not an issue. Then we have the Swedish Pirates with one vote and Magnus Andersson as their delegate. And then we have the Swiss Pirates, who here don't have a delegate, but I got an email very recently on that.
Yes.
And they have a delegate in Thomas Gold.
Thank you.
So if anyone can update the wiki there, and they have one vote.
Okay. So Swiss Pirates, Thomas Gold.
And R at the end, like Lima.
Okay.
So,
edited.
And then we have the Young Pirates of Europe, who are entitled to 4 delegates and 2 votes. And they have František, Harris, and Maya listed as delegates. And Harris is the one doing the votes. Okay. That was the vote count.
It should be edited on the wiki. Correct.
Ah, perfect. My name is beautiful. So you can basically always copy paste the name from the wiki because the wiki is correct, and then you need the number of votes, which I think you have. Yeah. Excellent. And what I would want us to do now is the very, very exciting vote count. Please count the votes.
Who said yes and who said
no? Just add the numbers. Okay. Of the present people here. Then we will know how many votes, and that's very useful because then we will also know what half of that plus 1 is, which is a majority.
Oh, this is not correct.
Peter is angry that he has no votes.
Yes, count the numbers.
Yes, I think it is.
Doesn't matter.
Ja, wer
You have all the parties. Yeah. You just need the total number of votes. Ignore the names.
Ignore the names.
Ignore the names.
Just the ones who voted.
So yes, so only the ones that have an
Okay. Es ist okay. Es stimmt ja nicht für sich selber.
No, you don't. So 17. We currently have 17 votes.
How many?
We currently have 17 votes attributed to delegates. Then we of course have countries with votes that aren't here. Nicholas.
May I ask you to put the numbers of votes to the wiki so that everyone see it in the list of delegations?
So, yes, whoever do wiki stuff, on the PPEU wiki there's members somewhere. There you have the member parties and the number of votes. So whoever likes to update the wiki can copy from that and into the other document.
That's the, from line 20 to 41, that's a list of the delegates with the voting counted. And I can take it as a sample into the wiki, right?
Yes, but yes, that is only of course the votes that we have here.
If
Yes.
there's no name,
There's no delegate, yes.
I will try to do that. Okay?
Okay, sorry. I thought I'm supposed to do the wiki.
I've tabled it as well in an Excel sheet, and then my summarizing went up to 25 present votes.
But that is because you took all the numbers also when there was no delegate.
No. Try to follow up who's present. We might check it.
Sorry.
Our names are missing.
I'm closest to this.
Yeah.
Sorry, the only remote.
You're doing great.
Yes, 25 votes. There should be. And we missed Iceland somehow.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Part of the darkness, man.
So, no, that's because on the
no,
wiki it says Vala.
Yeah, just, yeah.
How would you pronounce the full thing?
Valgerður.
Valgerður.
If you want their attention, you say Valgerður.
I'll say Vala.
You may say Vala, it's okay.
Thank you. And murder.
Yep.
Which means murder in most languages. Just pointing it out.
Oh, that's true.
And can I ask you, Iceland have 3 votes.
Yes, please.
How are you dividing those votes between the two of you?
I have 1, Murder has 2.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Then I think we are ready to go. There's 25 votes, which gives 13 as the magic number. If you have 13 votes on your side, you're home safe. With that said, voting is never fun. Voting creates winners and losers, and while it's fun to be a winner, given statistics, you will be a loser most of the time because there's just so many votes. So consensus is a much better approach to everything in this world, including decision making. There are times when we will have to vote, when there are multiple options, but I think we should strive in all discussions to give the time so that the discussion can lead to some kind of consensus, so we are actually all feel that we agree on what we're doing, rather than just having a voting majority. Of course, it's entirely up to the meeting, but that is what I will strive for as the chair, and I hope you will all be okay with that approach. So, a second. We should go to the next point on the agenda.
Got your tab.
And let me find the right place here. So, we've done we've done with formalities. That means that we've come to chair reports, and it says here board, treasurer, council, but it should be board reports, chair, treasurer, council. It's board reports, so there should be a chair report and a treasurer report, and maybe a joint report, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, it's probably written poorly.
I will hand over to Okta.
Yeah. We just agree we'll do it together.
Yeah, so Marketa will join me. The main events that I'd like to report from the European Pirate Party is that we are registered in Luxembourg. It took a while, and at some point, I believe back in January, in a board meeting, was filled with darkness and disarray and was sure that it wouldn't actually happen, but it did. We're formally registered, thanks to everyone that's helped in that process. We also now have a bank account. We're back in business, which means that to all council members and to members of the European Pirate Party, you will see us in your inbox soon. Where
sorry to interrupt, just about the bank account. The big deal about it also, in my point of view, is that it's really transparent. Like, you will really see who put there what and stuff like that, which I think is in most countries, like the banks don't offer that. And the fact that we actually created it at a bank that offers that, I think is a huge breakthrough, because I know that as it isn't offered by many banks in other countries, sometimes there's not that much of a effort to do that like this way. So I'm really proud that the PPU has a really transparent bank account. Yeah, it's a huge deal for me.
So again, practicing what we preach has been very important. Yes, the registration is in place, the bank account is in place, and what I wanted to say is we're finally in a position where we will be able to collect membership fees. That's why we're going to be in your inbox. So we look forward to being able to do that, and perhaps the Treasurer will say a few words afterwards as well on that. We've gone through some transitions. The Icelandic Pirate Party has been quite absent, or had been quite absent before joining the board last year, with my presence and the presence of Hrafndís Bára. I hope that we have done our best in the past year to take part, to support, and to jointly with the rest of the movements represented on the board push our agenda for different politics across Europe as much as it's been possible. So from that point of view, we're happy to have been able to take a more active part, and for the board to have been much more active than it had been for a very long time. So we managed not just to register, get a bank account and get things back and up and running, we also managed to start very important, very fundamental work that unifies us. It started as a conversation in November in Prague, which can sometimes lead to contention. Should we or should we not have a joint program for the European parliamentary elections? We did a really good job at discussing that, and that work has now borne amazing fruit. So Marketa has been leading a lot of that work. So as Vice Chair, would you take us through the highlights of the CEEP program?
Yes. First things I need to say is that I'm really proud how many pirates participated, and from like many countries. I don't have the exact numbers, but nevertheless, it was like much bigger amount than in 2014, in my opinion, as I was part of the process at that time too. And thanks to that, but of course not only to that, we managed to include into the program more topics that are not just core pirate politics like copyright and digital affairs and stuff like that, which is mainly what was 2014 CEEP consisting of, but even parts like space program or agriculture, fisheries, and other, I don't want to say serious stuff, of course, digital affairs are very serious, but like, the stuff that usually people consider like, oh, so they are a relevant party or relevant movement. And I'm really proud that we were able to cover it finally. And I have to say thank you to all who participated or helped or were somehow part of it, or even thought about us, because they're also helping the atmosphere. And right now, the deadline for final texts from the working groups is 20th December. Then there will be some editing, polishing, and everything that's necessary for it to look like a common program. And I thus hope that at the end of this year we will have the CEP 2019 to present, so await it in your mailboxes too, so that your parties can somehow take a stance towards it and either approve it or in any way say that you are part of it. Of course, it's not, it's voluntary completely, but of course it's good for, you know, our unity, and I would be happy if all the parties, and not only those who participated actively, but even passively, would somehow approve this program, and hopefully maybe even, you know, in a celebration, sign it officially or something like that, in, hopefully, Luxembourg on 9th of February. So this is kind of an invitation also. Book in your calendars 9th of February, and I hope we'll meet there to sign the CEP and maybe kick off the European elections campaign. Thanks.
And just to go over them for those of you maybe that are listening through the stream, the specific topics that the CEEP has been working on and has defined are the topics of anti-corruption and corporate lobbyism, climate change, climate action and energy, digital affairs, foreign affairs and defense, education, culture and research, healthcare, legalization of cannabis and other drugs, migration, migration, social affairs, space, as Marketa mentioned, structural funds, taxes. I'm very glad that Luxembourg now has pirates in the parliament, and transportation. So those are the topics in which pirates from all over Europe came together and started working on an election program. I'm bursting with pride and joy that this work managed to happen in a very short period of time. So thanks to everyone that took part in this, and to the pirate movements that are listening in that maybe haven't seen this. Please check your inboxes or contact us, and we will send you links and information about the CEEP 2019. Yes, may I please? Yeah, take your word for one moment also. Another thing, I'd like to say that the board, or let's say, the board managed, and I don't want to forget about it, is that we approved of media strategy also. Yes. Of course, the fact that it's approved doesn't mean it's always fulfilled, because there's always the matter of time and the fact that we are just activists, you know. However, it is there, and we can work, thanks to that, on our media image, which will be profoundly more important in upcoming months, even because of the European elections, but also because we are now, you know, being more and more successful in a lot of countries. So the image of European Pirate Party as something that's unifying these, let's say, successful parties and emerging parties and everyone is also important. So I'm really glad we have this, and yeah, I think that's everything that the board did the last year, but in my opinion it's quite good, quite a lot. We also managed to grow our presence and the knowledge of not just the European pirate parties, but the specific parties. In the last year we've gone through many elections, some quite successful, very, very successful, others maybe not so, but we've done so for the first time maybe in a while together. We've supported each other, we've been visible for each other, we've gone to visit each other, we've taken part in each other's business, and that's what family is all about. And this is what unites the European Pirate Party, is that we care about each other. We care about how things go in different municipality and other elections, and this is what we'll strive to do more of. Collaboration, coordination, assisting and helping each other with the tasks at hand. There will always be another election in Europe somewhere, So we will stand guard on that, and this is the coordinating body for that work. It is extremely important that we continue to support each other and those efforts. Our presence online in more traditional ways, such as social media, has grown immensely. And it has grown as we have worked more and more on our flow of information. So a part of the media strategy that was drafted, a media plan that we also made, a part of working with our image and visibility. We don't like to brag. This is a problem. We're actually doing quite well, and we're doing amazing things in many different countries. But we tend just to say, oh, that's okay, don't worry. So once in a while, we don't necessarily have to brag about it, but people need to know. And so our information flows have improved and will continue to improve with the work that the board has managed to do in the last year. Just on perhaps one of the less successful sides, the board has worked on sporadically the improvement of procedures and for our procedures to match our purpose. That work proved to be more timely, more time consuming, and perhaps a little bit of a bigger bite than we thought and that we were able to chew in this past year. I'll stop with the food analogies now. However, this is something that I hope the board that will be elected today will concentrate on. There is absolutely no reason to have lengthy procedures, lengthy statutes if we're not following them. If we're not following them, we need to realize what we need to do to actually follow them or to simply take them out. So I hope that the new board will come together in this revision of the formalities that make up this coordinating body, and I believe we can do that very well together. Do you have anything to add to the last year?
No, actually, I think we've covered everything, and yeah,
so
there was a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot of work, and as Marketa said, activism pays. It pays in amazing conversations, new friendships. It pays in the understanding of, I know a lot more about the Czech Pirates now than I did just a year ago. It pays in relationships and hugs and love and a lot of other things, but it doesn't necessarily pay in the traditional way, in the bank account, right? So all the board members are, of course, volunteers and have put an amazing amount of work into upholding our technical infrastructure, like Bastian has been doing, giving us access to or helping us build our structure. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the board for all that work. It really does matter, and it lays at the core of us being able to operate it all. In terms of the next steps, this is a party of the future, so we'll probably always be 5 steps ahead. Understanding and knowing that, I perhaps would like to take a couple of next step conversations or things that I would like, reflections that I'd like us to think about. We're potentially looking at very, very successful European Parliament elections. As a coordinating and governing body, we need to figure out how we are going to do that. Informal conversations have, of course, been had between parties, between people, about what we can do to make sure that we do our utmost and that as many pirates as possible from as many countries as possible will be represented in the European Parliament. The CEEP meetings will continue. There will be a launch. We will coordinate as best as we can to assist, help, and support each other as the countries of Europe go to the European Parliament elections. But at the same time, we need to have an important conversation, which is how is this governing body going to assist and help the future members of Parliament? What kind of support are we going to give? What kind of a relationship will we have to our representatives? What can we and can we not the European, the members of the European Parliament are independent, and independent in a way that none of us can sit them down and tell them what to do. That will never be the case for a representative. However, how we give them our thoughts and our hopes, our policies for the future matter. And I see that the next board of the European Pirates opening up that conversation, maybe even this weekend, as to how we can influence policies, influence agendas, and help prioritize the pirate agenda within the European Parliament as a very important conversation to have. So I'm hoping we get to have that. Not necessarily this weekend, we don't have that much time. It would be nice to start it, maybe we will succeed in that. But to have this at the forefront is very important. And it's very important to the success of the wonderful people that will hopefully be in the first 10 plus European Parliament group of the European Pirates. 10 plus, I said it. So I'm going to wager 5 Icelandic kroners. I don't even know that there's euros small enough for that. That it will be a 10 plus person group. So those are the next steps that I, as the parting chair, would like to come across to you as my reflections. As a departing chair, I also have to say thank you. I've been completely humbled by the support, by the conversations, by the people. You know what? For something to matter, for something to hit you hard in the heart, those things often are difficult. It's difficult to be in politics. It's difficult to agree. Sometimes it can be difficult just to listen. But I think that we have managed, and I think from a year ago, we've grown as movements and as people. So thank you all for allowing me to grow with you in the last year.
Yeah, and you please allow me to thank in the name of all of you, to you, Okta, for the amazing job you did, for being the best chair we ever. No offense to all the chairs before.
You'll be meeting a former chair soon.
But I meant like the best chair ever in the history of chairs of all the organizations on the world. You know, so
wow,
it's offensive to everyone actually. And I think you made an amazing job, and I hope that you will continue participating at least at some level that your time allows you. And as someone who, you know, talked to you a lot in the last year and communicated with you, I think you're amazing and you're doing an amazing job, and you should hear that every day. And if no one tells you that, say it to the mirror because you deserve it. And thank you. May I hug you?
Oh, thank you so much. That being said, we will vote for a new. We will vote for a new board, and we have an amazing long list of people for the different roles. Chair.
Just again for the press, please. Just again.
Is there?
Do you want us to hug again?
Okay.
I'll take an extra hug.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for the report. Is there any questions?
I was going to ask you, do you want questions now or at the end?
Questions on your report now, then the treasurer report, and then question on the treasurer report.
Fantastic.
So is there any questions on the report? Excellent. Then feel free to sit down. I also want you to know that we have not penciled down everything you said. If you want any part of the report to be added to the minutes, you can send it in writing, and we will add it to the minutes. Then we go to the treasurer report. Bastian wants to come up.
Okay.
I need some
on the beamer. Slides.
Sheets. Yeah, slides.
Slides on the beamer.
Slides on the beamer. No. I give you this.
Yeah, the USB.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, she's connecting her.
Okay, fine. I saw the long cable.
Yeah, this HDMI cable.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the Icelandic pirate way.
Yeah, yeah.
Long cables.
Long
just in
cables
case.
to every. Yeah. Hi.
Excuse me, Sebastian. It's just going to take a minute, so if
Yeah,
you...
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait.
I'm not so quick as you mean.
Tell some jokes.
Ping. Okay. I'm Bastian, well known as Bastian, and my official name is Sebastian Krone, and from the German Pride Party and the treasurer until now. Hi. Since years I'm supporting PPU with server and domain hosting and services. You can find all the services in the DokuWiki under the dashboard. We have the DokuWiki, we have emails, we have Etherpad, we have Nextcloud, we have Redmine, we have WordPress. So I try to be the good soul in the background to make things working.
Which one do you want to open first?
The balance sheet.
Budget.
What? No, that's balance.
Yeah.
Balance.
You have payments? There's
No
sheet
payments.
called balance.
Yeah, and the other one.
The other one.
The other one, balance.
There's no one that's called balance.
Yeah,
No?
I have
Status. Then
status.
yeah, genau.
Okay.
Right. Since the last council meeting, I have prepared the agenda for 13 board meetings, and we have had 13 board meetings. That's we can point out that because otherwise we had no board meetings, and it's costs a lot of time to have the board meetings, and I appreciate very much that we have all these meetings, and it's a lot more compared to the past. As a treasurer, I've tried to find out what happened in the past, since 2014. The foundation meeting in Brussels, maybe you remember. So I was looking what's going on with our money, and I got a promise by Okta and MAP that they will transfer the money which is stored on private account to be transferred as soon as possible to our new bank account. I calculated the outstanding fees and finished the balance sheet. We talk about in a minute. And so, by the way, I had a lot of telephone calls to the registry office and to the tax authorities of Luxembourg. We have to fix something in the near future. And on November 16, I successfully ended my efforts to open a bank account for the PPU2. So we split our efforts. I did my duty, and Marketa did open a bank account in Czechia. I have to thank to the board that works as a team and made things going. We have a registered organization now. We can do all what we have started in Aarau, Barcelona, Rome, Manchester, Paris, Warsaw, Luxembourg, and Brussels. Many, many years ago. 2012, I think, it started the system of PPU. We have even started many working groups I assisted on. They have started their work for a common European election program. Marketa referred about that. Now we have to do the next step to fulfill the conditions to be acknowledged as a European party by the European Union. Therefore, we need 7 members with elected people in the parliament. Let's try, but it's a hard track. Thank you for your trust. Everything is okay, and our balance sheet shows this is a very short one. We have collected 35 euros in Prague donations, and the first duty was to transfer that to the bank account. We have about 238 donations for server and maintenance. It costs 119 euros a month, and it will be donated maybe for the future also. And you can see on the last slide the status of the bank. So then we have another problem: yearly payments. Now I need these yearly payment sheets. Yes, please. If you scroll down to this, page 2, we have outstanding due about 42,600. It paid only 5,700. It's a lot of money. And I know that's old money. It's from the 2014 on. And maybe we have to find a solution today or tomorrow what we can vote about that old years. We have to send out our bills for 2018. We have vote about that. We can do it today. We can send it whenever, but we have it for 2018. My proposal is to do it for 2017 too. And we have to discuss what we do with the old overdue fees. It's unfair that we have some parties who did their job and to say, no, you are fools, that you did your job. You paid money. And we have to discuss it in a manner that we find a solution. That's from me, I think. We have some problems with the transfer of the money of the private account, but I think we will solve it today. Another word, you were proud of to having a transfer bank account. I'm not quite sure that it's regarding to the GDPR or the European data protection rules, because we have to, if we have a really transfer bank account, then you get all the information with the transfers to the bank. Here's the bank account of the maybe the donations and the names and so on, and we have to clean that before we have it in the transfer bank account. Maybe the possibility is that we have it, then it's no problem. What you can refer to that. Yeah, okay, no problem. But I haven't seen that bank account. I didn't sign for. I have no information of that bank account. You can fill in this lack of information, and then it will be okay. Let's try to have 2 bank accounts. Let's try to have let's try to collect our money. Now we can work. And I have a budget for the future prepared. That's the next step. Thank you for your attention.
I have a question to the treasurer.
Yes.
Did you
Yeah. Oh. I left.
Nothing
too early.
critical. Did you want to show the budget?
I can. Yes.
Yeah, it's just because it was there.
You can. Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
just.
get it bigger, I think.
Yes, yes, you can. I think so.
Yes, we can.
It's only 25%. So what I did is, let me see where I have it stored.
It has to do with the video conferencing, but it's.
Yeah. So
if you don't go full screen, you can have it bigger, but not really.
But not really, exactly.
Not really.
See, because the way that.
Yeah, you can see.
Right, so I
125%.
So I made three columns. Basics. What are basics? I have a feeling if we get enough money, medium, and I have a feeling for fit for work. And to be short, we have to get in the next period, 2019, beginning from now, 8,000 euros as a minimum, and medium for the medium work, 32,500, and for the fit to work, 37,000. Why should we do that? We have expenditures about 700 for the server, and maintenance will be donated maybe. We have expenditures for an office work from post stamps, but something like this, and we need an assistance. Minimum 1 guy who is responsible a day, maybe some hours, but I calculated about 4,700. It's not really nothing for a working guy, but we need somebody who is responsible, and he has to fit his fridge with all the things he needs, and we want to him or her. I cannot gender. Sorry about that. So it's about 4,000, 5,000, and we need traveling expenses. It's nice to be in a board, but it's in a very expensive way to be in a board. If you are in a PPU or whatever. And Reykjavik is one of the cheapest places in the world, I think. So, but somebody can pay it, and somebody can pay it not, and we have to support the people who is working for the board of the PPU. And I think a minimum is 1,200. So we have about 8,000 a year. So I think we get donations about for the server costs and so on. And so it's fit if we have membership fees 9,000. You see that on in the first column. And I calculated default of 2,500 because no can pay or doesn't pay whatever. But that's my calculation. So for the medium column, we get maybe we have a shop, and if we have a shop with merchandising tools, the party of Iceland have a lot of merchandising. You have a lot of money, I think. So maybe you can take over the shop. I calculate 1,000 as income, not turnover as income from the shop. And we need fundraising and donations. It's we cannot spend our work without that. So we have in this calculation we have 30,500, and then we can have an assistance. We can have a coordinator, and we have a press and PR coordinator, and we can print some flyers or something we can spend to people, whatever, that's a minimum. And I raised up the travel costs to about 7,000. It's not very much if you have 9 people on the board. And somebody he should do something for us. Yeah, he has to go to Brussels maybe, and the tickets are expensive and so on. And if we are really good organization which is fit for work, have that raised up to 37,000, and we can raise up our membership fees if everybody will pay their membership fees, which is important for us. So you can see that I have it printed out. I have it on. Maybe we can print it out on the printer here. So you can think over. It's just a short introduction. You have to vote over that point. Anyway, it's only my proposal for that. So, any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, given that the budget is a motion to the meeting, is this something that will be decided on the next council meeting?
Yeah. No. We have to do within this meeting because it's in the statutes. The council has to decide the budget.
Yes, the council has to decide on the budget.
That's my proposal as a treasurer for the budget.
Yes. So, as a chair, the problem here is that it's not on the agenda for this meeting.
Yeah, I don't care for that. You have to put it on a duty point.
Yes. So
maybe you can change the agenda as a chair of that meeting.
So the meeting can change the agenda. Let's discuss it over in the break.
Ja, no problem.
Dass der Budget beschlossen wird.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
I have.
Yes.
So what was basically on fit of working?
Approves the budget report.
It's 3 different budget alternatives. We can choose between them.
It can be A, B, and C.
There's 3 different options depending on how much we want to achieve. and then those are the names.
Depending how much we raise, basically.
Any other questions?
Okay. No questions? Whoa.
Yes.
You?
Peter has a question.
You have a question? You have a question? Everything gone? Fine? Applause when I talk about money?
No. Thank you.
You left. That's fine.
Okay. 44 minutes late.
Only?
Yeah.
Only. That's good.
Yeah, according to the agenda, we just we had plenty of time.
So, thank you. We're back. And same there. Bastian, if you send the documentation, it will be attached to the minutes and saved for eternity. And now, in accordance with the statutes, the meeting can approve or disapprove of the reports.
This includes the budget?
What? The budget is not a report. It's a separate topic.
Oh yeah. In that case, Ernst sent an email to the council saying that he's delegating his votes onto František Kopřiva.
Excellent.
So if he can receive the cards.
Can you repeat, please? Wait. We will sort that out after we left the point of the reports. So
yes, sorry, because we are now voting. I
So-
thought it's important to
Yes.
mention that.
Who is delegating to
The Austrian Pirates have appointed František as their delegate. That is what the gist of that email. I have not received that email yet, but if anyone received it on the council list,
according to the rules of procedure, one person can only represent two delegations.
but according to the statutes, there's nothing.
So we need to change. We would need to change the rules of procedure for that.
Let us conclude the reports. The vote will. So, I will ask, and you will do with the votes. And if we're not in consensus, we will then report the votes. So, can the meeting approve of the chair report? Yes, no abstentions. Vote now, please. Thank you. I find that I find that we have consensus in approving the chair report. Can the meeting approve the treasurer report? Vote now, please. Thank you. I'm closing the vote.
It's not funny. I think it was a good report.
Why does it funny?
And I find that we have adopted the treasury report with consensus.
Take care for your tongue. Take care.
You. So, we are reports. Board elections. Before board elections, let's sort out a few things. At the beginning of the meeting, I said that we would invent how we operate the meetings as we go along. Now, if there are standing rules of procedure, that it would be good if they were linked somehow to the documents for this meeting, because I never received them when I received everything else for the meeting. That is why I did not know that we had standing rules of procedure.
And the wiki, on the main page of the wiki.
Main page on the wiki.
Like one above the, because they all for all the statutes, for all the meetings, not just this one, so they're linked above it.
Let's see.
It's called rules.
Statutes. Over meeting. Who we are? No. Wiki. Let's go to wiki. Wiki. And where did you say it was?
CPU wiki double council rules.
Let me assist you.
It's not here. So,
okay, sure.
Because I can't see it.
Oh, that says. Why would I want to? It's okay.
No,
With the two people,
was written that
each person may not represent as a delegate for more than 2 members.
yeah,
Young
and
Pirates and Czech and Austria is 3.
oh, he doesn't have Young Pirates.
Yeah, then you need to announce it because it was that he's delegate for Young Pirates. Now, if he gives that away, it's okay, but you need to announce it because you announced that he had a third one, which would not.
Yeah, he needs
Yeah.
to announce it. But
Yeah.
okay.
So,
I forgot to announce. Yeah.
So,
I-
so there's the short. So here's rules of procedure. Now, the first thing we have to discuss is the part of the rules of procedure saying each person may represent as a delegate no more than 2 members. That is apparently in rules of procedures. They've been decided upon as a council meeting. As a chair, I find them invalid. It violates the rights of the members as prescribed in the statutes. The statutes say that the member may appoint a delegate. It does not include a restriction on who that delegate is, except explicit board members. So since the statute has a restriction on who may be a delegate, we should assume that all restrictions on who may be a delegate is in the statutes. And the meeting cannot impose restrictions on the members in appointing delegates beyond those in the statutes. Basically, if we could do that, the majority could strip people of voting rights one by rules of procedure until we only have 1 delegate.
It's not objection.
Yeah, oh, you don't have to object. This is starting of a debate, so feel free to...
Okay, so it's not objecting a specific person, it's a general rule, and it's also meant to make the meeting more manageable, to distinguish between voting cards and make it easier for the chair to recognize. It's been historically needed, introduced after, I don't know, the Barcelona meeting, where I also been in the position of having too many delegations to cards to juggle, and it's been a decision of the council meeting to specifically implement that, and we had it since then, so it's historically proven as a good rule, and it's not specific against it. Doesn't say that person X cannot be represented on delegation. It just said that a person cannot represent more than 2, which is fair, and it's not opposing to a member to have a delegate. Let's say that a specific delegate cannot represent more than 2.
Yes,
it doesn't limit the rights of a member, just of a person.
So, basically to say that I've had a similar discussion recently. So if a website is not allowed to put your text there, it doesn't hinder your free speech because it hinders the website. The consequence of that decision is that your free speech is being hindered, though. So if the consequence of restricting František's ability to be a multi-delegate is that a member cannot appoint him as a delegate, the rights of that organization is restricted. Personally, I'm strongly in favor of changing the statutes so that every delegate has 1 vote and a party with a lot of votes need to send more delegates. That is the sensible thing to do, in my opinion. The whole thing, saying that František cannot have 1 extra Austrian vote, but he can have 5 Czech votes.
It's okay. He can have the Austrian, but he cannot have the Austrian, the Czech, and the Young Pirates, which was announced in the beginning. So if he already announced that he give the young parents away, then it would work.
No,
it's
so
fine.
hold on.
Two delegations, okay.
So, for clarification, he is a representative of the young parents as a delegate, but he's a delegate of 0 votes. But
then it's okay. That's
no,
fine.
it's not, because in the rules of procedure it says represent as delegate.
You
It
don't
says
have a
nothing
delegate
about
without no vote.
votes. You represent without a vote. So,
do they have touch?
Bastian.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You are right, according to the statutes.
I mean, every member has 2 delegates,
Hello?
even if they have 1 vote.
Hold on, let's
I'm
take it in
speaking.
turn. Bastian is speaking.
Yeah.
Bastian.
Yeah, you are totally right, according to the statutes. But the assembly, council meeting, can accept the rules of procedure. If František will oppose to it, then the rights of according to the statutes are more important. You're totally right. But if the council meeting says that's our rules, it's okay, then it's also okay. You see? It's a difference. You can accept, you can make your own rules of procedure, and if all say yes, or this is our rules of procedure for that meeting, then it's okay. But if he opposes, then you are right. If you oppose, if you say that's my right on according to the statutes, that's your decision. Did you understand me? It's your decision to say I need the rights according to the statutes or to the rights according to the rules of procedure.
Oliver.
I just had a small chat here with Ernst from the Austrian Pirates, and I proposed the following as we're discussing here an issue which obviously had different opinions. And normally I'm used to present the Spanish and the Catalan pirates, and today I'm also only representing the Catalan. So he offered me to represent also the Austrian, and he told me there will come a mail in a short while for this. So we had this issue out of the question.
It's a non-issue now.
František.
Well, I'm not sure whether we can solve it like this, but I already gave the cards of YPE to Harris, so I'm not a delegate of Young Pirates of Europe anymore.
Factual correction, yes you are, because voting and delegates are 2 different things. Sven.
If you say he's not delegate,
yes,
he's not delegate.
but you haven't said that you're no longer, you haven't struck in yourself as a delegate. Sven.
You just said that.
Jens, you mean Jens?
Sorry, Jens.
Yeah. My question to you is, did we appoint rules of procedure for this meeting?
So, no. Apparently, I've been told that we have standing rules of procedure.
Okay, so if that's the case, what I would like to point out to add to what Gregory said is, if you have like a delegate who is like a remote delegate for 5 parties, and you get something like a super delegate. I think this was one major point of discussion during the Barcelona meeting, where people said like, there are people here that are ruling the whole meeting because they are holding like 12 votes, right? And therefore there was something put up in the rules of procedure. And I think that is a good idea, because this gives us more flexibility, because rules of procedure we can change when we start the meeting, or we can also maybe change them during the meeting. If we have it in the statutes, right, then we have a big problem adopting changes. So this is, for this reason, it's not a good idea to put it in the statutes, because that might lead us in a situation where we are not able to resolve a blockage of the meeting.
Mikolas.
It's not on the table anyway.
I have a comment. We have no revision body within the association, but the Article 14, Part 1 of the statute says the Council is the highest decision-making body of the association. I think we have spent a lot of time discussing this thing, so maybe it's a good idea just to vote on it, because we need a form of clarification, and we need to solve it as fast as possible. In fact, it is no problem, because František declared that he will not represent Young Pirates of Europe, so we are discussing basically stupid procedural problem, which is not relevant for our meeting, and we are 1 hour late, so let's solve it some fast way. We paid a lot of money to get here, pay tickets and so on, so stop please stop this discussion.
Gregory. Okay, I have a procedural motion, basically rephrasing what my colleague Nicholas said. It's a procedural motion regarding to Article 7 to point G, procedural motion to close the debate, because we are discussing now a non-issue, and we just can move on.
So, let's
and I have
discuss
not started it.
What?
No, okay.
So, on that topic, this is not a non-issue.
It's not an issue for this meeting now.
So, if you all consider what happened, the Austrians appointed a delegate. The meeting said, we don't care about the statutes, you should not appoint that delegate. The Austrians appointed someone else. That is not a non-issue. The rules of procedure restricted the choice of a member to act in accordance with the statutes.
Can you please carry on the procedural motion and stop debating?
So, I'm debating the procedural motion.
So you're opposing the procedural motion, okay.
Mappy, you should probably leave the chairing to someone else when you are debating something.
So, do you want to have a procedural motion of change of chair?
I would prefer you to continue and just do the procedural motion.
So, let me check the rules for procedural motions. They're probably in our standing...
yes, they are in the standing procedural motion, Article 7. 7.2, and then the 8.2k.
This is like a regular council of PPE. Bureaucratical start, right?
Can you please don't overlap procedural motions and have them one by one here?
Yes. So, could you please repeat the procedural motion?
Who?
You.
Me.
Yes,
okay.
you
Because
passed.
there are two different, apparently, I'm not sure, but I'm raising a procedural motion according to Article 7, paragraph
Could I
2.
ask people to be quiet
Point
while
G.
Gregory reads it?
Point G, procedural motion to close debate.
Yes.
And we can, if there are objections, we need to vote on it. If there are no objection, it stands accepted.
Yes.
And in the event nothing else is ordained, all the case ceases, the debate shall be suspended till the motion is handled and the vote taken.
Okay, we are now in the discussion about the procedural motion. And to comply with Mikuláš's desire, whenever I speak as a delegate or an opinion out of my chair, I will go over there so it's easier for the meeting to see what I'm doing.
That would be good.
And I'm on the list of speakers. So, hi, my name is Matthias Bernemann. My name is shortened to MOB. It's because it saves time. I use that extra time to obstruct meetings as a delegate. I've been obstructing meetings since I was 15. And one of the things that trigger me is when people are using procedural motions to shut people up. It is offensive. If there is a debate, if people want to talk about something, we should allow people to talk about that things. Shutting them up with procedural motions is not how we do it. If you think everyone has been said, don't say anything else. No one can stand forever and talk. Even I run out of words. But using the procedural motions to shut people up in a discussion just because you don't think it is a valid discussion is not respecting your fellow participants in the meeting. Procedural motions should be kept to a minimum because instead of having a conversation, we suddenly end up in voting. Voting creates winners and losers. Winners and losers will basically just make people unhappy. I'm aware that we're under time constraints. We will probably run late. We might have shorter lunch. But trust me, if we go down the slope of opening up for lots of procedural motions, that will take longer. Why will it take longer? Because we will write down how everyone voted on every single procedural motion that isn't passed unanimously. That means that as long as one person is disagreeing, it will take another 2 or 3 minutes just to get the protocol correct on who voted what. I can't tell anyone to withdraw a procedural motion, but I'm pretty sure that any debate on any topic will always go quicker if there's not a procedural motion to close it down. Because we're here to discuss when we have different opinions. That was what I had said on the procedural motion. Miklas.
Thank you, Mop. I have a proposal. Let's stop beating each other, obstructing each other, making procedural motion. Let's solve it by consensus. The voting was transferred to someone else. Let's postpone this discussion to some place after this meeting where everyone can spend his all time just solving bureaucratic stuff of the statutes, and let's continue to something we don't we should decide today.
Okay, I have a question as the chair. How many people wanted to speak more on the topic of that specific line in the rules of procedure?
You need to raise the vote. If you don't see hands, raise the vote.
Sorry?
The procedural motion is still on the table.
Yes, we're in the discussion on the procedural motion. During that, to help me as a chair, I wanted to know, was there anyone else who wanted to talk about the things that you wanted to close down? I don't see anyone.
Okay.
So if you withdraw the procedural motion, we will not close the topic, but there will be no one talking on it.
I don't believe you.
Okay, that is perfectly fine. So, we have a procedural motion. We will go to voting. On the
No,
procedural.
you need to ask if there's objection to the procedural motion, and only if there's objection we need to vote. Otherwise, it stands accepted. It's done to speed up the time.
That is not how I interpret 7.5. Procedural motion are passed by simple majority.
Okay.
That means that in all procedural motions, according to our rules of procedure, there will be a vote. If it's not consensus, that vote will be documented.
Okay, I refrain. I withdraw the procedural motion.
We have no procedural motion. We're in discussion about the rules of procedure. We were specifically discussing the rules of procedure, line 2 on, let's see where we have those rules of procedure.
So you asked if there's somebody wants to discuss. Nobody wanted to discuss. Why are you still there?
So I'm telling the meeting where we are. So we were on discussing the rules of procedure on representation. I think, as far as I understand, there's no one else wanting to discuss that. Is there any other discussions on the rules of procedure? As far as I understand, there's a problem with remote delegates and proxy.
Please don't speak when.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, as far as I understand how we've been acting, there's an easy solution to follow the remote proxy rule, and that is I appoint myself as proxy for all remote delegates. That is basically what's being done. I talk to them, I inform you, and I have that power in accordance to the rules of procedure. So I think we can solve that issue by just telling you that according to the rules of procedure, I'm the proxy for the remote delegates. Is there any other questions on the rules of procedure? Okay, as a general rule, when the meeting gets a problem with the rules of procedure, my suggestion is that we discuss that specific issue there and then we make a decision whether we want to permanently change the rules of procedure or temporarily change the rules of procedure for this meeting. And then we solve it on a case-by-case basis. Is anyone objecting to that? Is there any other comments on the rules of procedure? Then I'm happy to announce that since we have them standing, we don't have to make a decision on them. It should be noted in the protocol that Matthias Bjarneman is the proxy for all remote delegates, because that is, but that can be done up, not in where we are, but up in the present, who's present. And we should go back to the agenda. And the agenda is
technical.
Yes.
You probably haven't read it yet because of this chairing, but Ernst thought that František doesn't have the free slot, so he sent an email transferring his vote onto Oliver, but he told me in a chat, and I can show it to you if it suffices, that as František can have represent him, he wants František to represent him. And he says, Oliver, if you don't mind, it's nothing against you. Okay, so if once you would go to the email, you might be, confused. So I'm explaining it now.
Okay. I will look into that. Thank you for the information.
Yeah.
We're in the point board elections. They are done in accordance with our statutes, and the first election is the chair. And as far as I understand, we have 2 candidates. My suggestion is that we give each candidate 5 minutes of presentation, followed by questions. After that, we open for a general discussion about the candidates. After that, we will go to the voting. Is that okay procedure for everyone? Then we have 2 candidates. My suggestion is that we randomize start. Who goes first? Unless
I would leave the lady to go first.
Marketa, are you happy to start?
Yes.
Then I'm happy to give the floor to Marketa.
Thank you very much, Maf, for the word. Thank you, everyone. It's kinda always hard to go here after Octavia, and even to the position, because she's such a good speaker and such a good person. And it's also hard to go into this position of a chair of the European Pirate Party after someone who actually registered the European Pirate Party after 4 years of its existence, unofficial existence, and someone who was really connecting people together. But that's actually also why I'm here standing today, because she has been an inspiration to me on what a person can do in the world. I have to admit that in the first months of me being vice chairperson to the PPEU, I really haven't done that much, or done that much as I expected from myself, The media strategy took me like ages, and I was really disappointed at myself. I thought it would be much faster and everything would progress and stuff like that. But I realized things take time, and also why I mentioned that Octavia inspired me. I saw that she's working, really hard, and that she registered the PPU. And what else is she doing? Like a lot of stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, that's how it works, and I can do it also. It's not like I have to wait for, I don't know, someone to tell me what to do, wait just for the tasks. I can be, proactive myself. So I started to be proactive, and did some stuff about the CEP and the bank account and stuff like that. But we already talked about it, so I don't want to really focus on the past and brag about it or what we done. I want to focus on what I offer for the future of the PPU as a candidate for the chair. And of course, the huge topic is European elections, and I can promise I will continue the work on CEP and finish it, and I will continue the general work on the European elections, especially concerning the common campaign and everything connected to that, because as was already mentioned, it's really important, and we might be really successful, like 10 plus MEPs. That would be really great, and I will do everything in my power to make it happen. However, PPU is not only about the EU countries and parties, as we are now in Iceland, right? And I would also like to, because of that, involve the parties more. I already have a list of international coordinators for each parties. Not all of them. I would like to consolidate it so that I have all of them. And I would like to begin for example, some kind of a newsletter that will inform them on what is the board doing, what is happening like inside the PPU and inside of the whole pirate movement, so that they are regularly involved and know and can get involved actually more. But I said a few days ago, I think, something similar. Don't only ask what the board can do for the parties, but ask what the parties can do for the board. And I'd be happy if the parties informed us, the board, you know, the PPU, what is happening inside their party, when they have elections, if they need something, what is going on there, so we can really connect them with other parties maybe that have similar struggles or problems, and also so that we can cover it in media, because we have some impact, not only on our Facebook page, we have some press list and stuff like that. And if the parties, you, will inform us that, I don't know, you have a new chairperson, or that you have a huge success for you, of course, but that we don't see on the international scale, we can share it and we can help you be seen, and I think we can help each other like that. And I would also, I would like to begin this, you know, intercommunication, let's say. Another thing I'd like to set up, I already mentioned that in an email, is a running schedule for the PPU, so that the situation that happened today or this year with the PPU Council won't happen again. I'm talking about the nomination situation. We will get to it later, definitely. So it maybe won't happen in December, but I hope that it will happen in January at latest, and we'll know what we'll be doing in each month. Of course, it can always change, but at least some kind of running schedule will help us, you know, clear these mistakes and these problems we usually have. Last but not least, all the things I mentioned, and of course many more that the board will be doing, we will be doing as a whole, as the board. It's not something only the chair will be doing. So I want to end with something specifically mine, what I want to focus on. I like to look at my position in the board as someone dealing with misunderstandings and connecting people. I think I have a fair amount of experience with that from the past year, and I will continue doing so without regards to the position I will have. But I offer you my empathy and constructive approach that I hope I showed in the past year to follow the common goal we all have, to strive for a more piratey and better world for everyone. Thank you.
Short question to chairing the meeting. To the chair of the meeting.
Yes.
As Marketa already mentioned, I was wondering right now a little bit, as there are 2 nominations for the chair. I know only for one. So as the council is the highest body of the decision taking, and in the statutes there is this legislation telling us we have to give the nominations 4 weeks in advance. We should first proceed to whether we accept ad hoc nominations, whether we accept these nominations coming in late, or if we not do so.
So on that, there's Gregory, that was directed at me. If you feel that I can't answer it. So for chair, there's 2 nominations in time. The things you address will be an issue when we come to vice chair, and I will address it at that time, unless. Okay, good. So, Marketa can take questions. I will allow you to dish out the word as you see fit until there's no more questions.
Do you have a question? The answer is 42.
Yeah, I have a question. One word that triggered me was the media strategy. I know that we are doing an election campaign, and for me it would be important to have PPEU like as a tool to also do campaigning. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about your plans with the media strategy on how PPEU, what would that mean, what actions would that include?
Mm-hmm. Well, the media strategy we already have approved is a media strategy for regular functioning of the PPEU. It's not focused on the European elections, of course. So what I will talk about now is nothing approved yet. It's just my opinion on how we should proceed.
Oh, yes.
And of course it will be discussed by the board and the whole council. So don't take it for granted what I will say. Okay. But first things, I think we should, via maybe the international coordinators, connect our media teams. Because I think some of them are well established and some of them not, which is okay. But we can help there. And even if they don't have a media team, they still have some kind of a person. I've seen it. We all have Twitter and Facebook, so someone is doing this stuff. And these people can be connected and work on the common media strategy. Even though I used to be marketing specialist, I don't really want to tell you now what the marketing strategy for the European elections campaign will be, because like it's for hours and hours of work and brainstorming, you know. But I will start with connecting them and connecting with the board, and then we will come up with the best schedule and strategy for the upcoming European elections. And I would like that to begin pretty much after his meeting, or you know, this month. Did I answer you?
Oh yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, then we thank Marketa for that, and I think we let Niklas do his presentation.
Thank you. Okay, good morning everybody. My name is Miklas Peksa and I'm from the Czech Pirate Party. I have some things I would like to say to you. First of all, I hereby gratefully thank to the Pirate Party of Germany who nominated me. Thank you for that. Secondly, there is something I should admire publicly on this in this meeting, because it's probably not that much known. I have become the chairman of election committee. That is a body of Czech Pirate Party which is mainly responsible for the European election. So I take as my main responsibility to deliver as many Czech MEPs to the European Parliament as possible. Okay. So speaking about 10+, now I'm doing my best on a little bit different front. The third point I would like to say, and really I'm misusing this opportunity to say it, we are facing new challenges. What actually happens is that we have a realistic chance to have more than single party get elected into the European Parliament. That brings new challenges really, because we will have to somehow coordinate our effort, and this should not be a single nation game. Like even the parties which will not be elected will have to participate in some way and will have to take place in the decision-making process. This is quite important because we are an international movement and we are not just some national party which was lucky enough to get elected. So now we have to establish this process, and it will be really tricky, and it will need a lot of negotiations, a lot of agreements, compromises, and so on. Or maybe the most important task which now I'm doing as the chairman of the election committee is to find a way how to include it in Czech post-election strategy exactly this approach, that we need to include all the parties from the whole Europe into the decision-making process. And we want to do it, and we will do our best to do it. There were some discussions about financing for the future year. One thing should be mentioned. If we succeed, the MEPs has tremendous amount of resources comparing to members of national parliaments. We have to use these resources wisely, and we have to use this that way that they are not used only by one single party, but all the parties are involved and can profit of these results. It was said once by Cato Senior, Bellum Seipsut Alet, which means like the wars has to feed itself. So that's exactly the idea. We don't have to find a way how to exploit the smaller parties, which have not that many resources as the bigger ones, but rather we have to find a way how to use the resources we get from these elections in order to serve the whole pirate movement. That's the thing we have to do now. Finally, which is probably important, we were already approached by some parties which are not pirates, asking us which faction in the European Parliament we will join, what are our plans, and so on. To be honest, I was board member in the previous board, and I often, every time I was able to or allowed to, I repeated that proudly because I feel proud of being European pirate. But what is needed and what should be decided today, maybe tomorrow, is a process how we approach this thing, because without a clear mandate, the board cannot say, like, we will join your faction, or we think about joining your faction, and stuff like that. These are questions we are receiving, and they are already of importance, because our partners are asking us, and sometimes we are asking, what is your opinion about, for example, the law, the European law, which should introduce threshold for European election in Germany. So we have to solve this type of problems, and I think the European Pirate Party shall play an important role in this process. But to be honest, I'm not willing to be chair running this, because I've seen a lot of work from Marketa, who made incredibly great job preparing the Common European Election Program, and I think she's much focused on this, and she delivered very good results. And that's the reason why I hereby withdraw my candidacy for the chairman of the European Pirate Party. Thank you very much.
Is there any questions?
How do you like Iceland?
I love it. I love it. My attitude about Iceland changed from yesterday to today. Like, it's incredible place. I love it. Yeah.
As far as I remember, you are MEP in the Czech Parliament?
Yeah, true.
MP, yeah. And you mentioned just a moment ago that you're also part of the board of the outgoing board, or the former board of the European Pirates. So, are you sure that you won't get a difficulty in a time conflict, in have a sufficient time, enough time to fulfill both duties? As I noticed that there were a lot of board meetings where you weren't able to be present.
Okay, just another comment, which is quite personal. What happened in last year was very, very hard for me, and resulted into the fact that me and my wife, we are divorcing. Sorry for that.
Things happen.
Sure. The question.
Was the question to me?
No.
No, question to Nicholas.
You're withdrawing your.
I'm withdrawing my candidacy for the chairman.
Right, but not.
But not for the other offices.
Okay.
Because I think it is important that there will be someone in the board, or I'm offering that, who will ensure this transfer through the European election. Because right now it works that way that we have already 3 national parliaments within the EU, which means the Czech Parliament, Czech Senate, and Luxembourgish Parliament. We have also the European Parliament, and right now we really need a decision-making process how to address European legislation. Yeah. This is not funny because it's a lot of legislation, and you need to research through it, analyze it, and make comments. And my personal feeling about how this currently works is that it is quite a huge pressure, especially for Luxembourgish pirates, because we as Czech pirates, we can do it, we have some resources for that, but we definitely need some sort of cooperation, and this should be overseen by the PPEU from my view. But of course, if it's not elected, or the PPEU Council does not like this idea, I'm perfectly fine with that. But still, I'm offering my services to the PPEU to do this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with only one candidate, it makes my job easier. We will still have an election according with statutes. We do approval voting for board, which means that we will, well, basically, if Marketa gets 50% of the votes or more, she will get elected. If she gets less, we will ask the meeting if we want to open up for more nominations. That's how the statutes handle it. And is there anyone who isn't ready to go into voting? Then I see that we are ready to vote. And I'm just alerting the remote delegates so they are also aware.
No, I don't know.
We will do it approval voting. You can. Oh, sorry.
I want 1 or 2 minutes to discuss it with the rest of white people.
Yes. So, I think it's very important that you confer with the people you are representing as delegates. I'm not sure we can take 2 to 3 minutes on every vote on that. So, I will unfortunately have to not, unless the meeting decides so, I will not pause it for 2 to 3 minutes for a discussion. And if you're unsure on how your organization wants you to vote, you always have the option to abstain. I find that we're voting. All the votes are happening at the same time. You have the amount of votes you have. You should be aware of those. You have yes, no, or abstention. And I ask the meeting, do we want to elect Marketa as the new chair of European Pirates? Vote now. Thank you. You can take out. I have a technical question here, so I will take a second.
It's so thrilling. I can't wait for the results. Don't kill us.
Yeah, we have them.
Kim Ung-Gu. No, the North Korean. Kim Ung-Gu. Okay,
You and Kim Jong-un.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Like 100%, like 110% voted. 110%.
So low? Let's execute them.
110%. Yes, I'm happy to announce that we have unanimously elected Marketa as the new chair. The time is now, well, in some part of the world it's 1:30. Here it might be 12:30. I don't know if mine.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
It's 12:30. So in the correct part of the world it's 1:30, but it's 12:30 here, which is is when we are closing for lunch break. I would ask just to have one discussion before the lunch. We will need to push the vice chair elections after lunch.
Okay.
But there is one issue that I think we should address. The statutes are very clear. They say that nominations have to be sent in 1 month before the meeting to be nominations. You can only vote, you can only elect among the people that are nominated 1 month before the meeting, according to our statutes. Then it says if we cannot fill a position, we are allowed to open up for more nominations here. My interpretation when I read that is that we first vote among the people who are nominated, if we end up with no candidate elected, we make a decision on whether we should open up for new nominations. And if that is approved, people can then nominate. And of course, if that happens, all the late nominations will automatically be considered to be nominated at that time. That is for every single position, one by one.
Okay.
That is how I would interpret the statutes. I've looked at the rules of procedure. They don't give any more clarity than this. It is my understanding that this is not what you did at the last council meeting.
For good reason why.
So that means that there's a discrepancy between the praxis and what I would say as the logical interpretation of the statutes. And to make a clarification on that, I think before we go into any of the other decisions, we need to figure out whether we should use the interpretation I have, or if you want to have any other interpretation of the statutes, and how you would then possibly justify such an interpretation. Because I know that there has come on a lot of nominations after the deadline, and the way I understand the room is that there have been people wanting to be able to do late nominations. But it is not in accordance with the statutes. You would have to justify how that would be done in a way where we would not be breaking our statutes. Because one thing we don't want to do, and by we I mean me in particular, is breaking statutes. We cannot ever hold other people accountable for not following rules and regulations if we don't do it ourselves. You can bend things, but you can't break them. That being said, I would be very happy for the meeting to discuss this before lunch. Thomas.
Yeah, as I've chaired the meeting in Prague, the situation was a bit different. We've had no candidates beforehand, and even the assembly decided to open the list, as there had been no candidates at all. So it's a totally different situation.
Bastian.
Yeah, we had an called emergency council meeting because the PPU was broken there, and everybody has the right to call for a meeting to re-establish a working board. That's it. That's the situation in Prague. Now we go back to normal. We have a normal board council meeting with an acting board. So we have to go back to the statutes. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not used to doing this, so I will try it. Maybe it will be kind of wrong, but I will try it. According to your email, I'm trying to suggest a procedural motion to vote on whether the meeting shall find that it can't fill any of the positions before opening up for admissions of new candidates. And my reasoning for this procedural motion is such that I know that we have candidates for the position, but I would say that we, like, because of the reasons we all know, for the meeting we called too late, and some parties weren't actually able to deliver nominations because of their internal structures sooner, that we can't fill the positions properly. So I suggest this. Sorry if I'm not understandable. It's really hard for me to do procedural motions because I'm not really a fan of them.
Well, I understood it. It's a suggestion for a procedural motion to, in one decision, find that we cannot fill the rest of the board positions, and therefore it should be open up for late nominations. And it is possible to do that as a procedural motion. My suggestion is that we have a discussion about that as part of this discussion, and then basically the vote on that procedural motion would conclude this discussion, and after that we can break for lunch. So is there anyone else who has any thoughts they want to share on this topic? Yes.
Well, just a bit to give a little bit support to the other opinion against the German point of view. As the actual or the last board of the European Pirates sent out the invitations very late for different members of the European Parliament in the internal process doing the nomination, it wasn't even possible to fulfill it in time.
So, I have two hats here. I have Mob, the querulant, and Mob, the delegate from Luxembourg. The Luxembourgish pirates are very clear. They think that they were caught unaware, and they would be very much happy to open up for late nominations, as they have an excellent candidate for the board. Putting that aside, my personal opinion, in Prague last year, the clock started ticking. The day after, your organization could start the process of electing nominees for the next board. You've always had, ever since the last assembly. I do realize that we haven't established a practice in our member organizations, and that is a problem. They need to get used to always thinking about who they should elect for the board. But the council meeting happens every year. I think we've actually managed to have it every year, even though it's been tight. So there's always these elections. So you always have the time. You can already now make a decision who you want to nominate for 2025 if you want to. That would be a valid decision, and it would be a nomination for the 2025 council. So you always have the option in theory. In practice, I understand that all organizations haven't gotten used to that. But from a querulant point of view, that is not a valid complaint. Now, the Luxembourgish pirates totally agree with you in your assessment, having had both my hats.
So you agree to disagree, to agree.
Any other opinions on this? Okay, then I suggest we go to the vote on the procedural motion. It's a procedural motion. It will be voted in accordance with the rules of procedure. You will be able to vote yes, no, or abstain. You will vote with your voting cards.
Can you explain again?
You will be able to vote on the procedural motion.
Which is what?
I will repeat the procedural motion. But you will be able to vote yes, no, or abstain on the procedural motion. You will vote with your voting cards. It will be the last vote before lunch.
To accept the late nominations?
Yes.
Can you put it in a minute?
Yeah, plus you have to read it out aloud, please.
Yes. So, let me write it down as I interpret it. So I will do it like this. I will write it down, and then on a suitable here. I will write it down and we'll read it up. Marketa, who proposed it, will say if I interpreted her correctly, and then we will vote. First note. So we find that there are not enough. Hold on, I will actually have to. So, very simple. There is a procedural motion to find that the remaining board positions could not be filled and that the meeting should open up for further nominations. Could not be filled is the line in the statutes, that is the requirement, so that is what you would have to vote on. Yes?
We will have a problem with the registration office, you know that. Right? Because if we vote against the statutes, they will never accept a new election. That's my comment.
Yeah, happened to me before once, but not in Luxembourg. Don't know how Luxembourg operates.
Being the chair, I don't know how Luxembourgish authorities would deal with this, being the delegate from Luxembourg, I have no clue about how the Luxembourgish authorities will deal with this. Being Swedish, I find it funny that authorities deal with this because. But
I think.
Hold on there first. First Gregory, then Francois.
Sorry, question, sir. Maybe I wasn't following clearly. So we're now registered in Luxembourg. May I ask how is the legal form in it? If we're required to submit the change of the board, including the minutes of the meeting, to the registration court, and what does this minutes should include? Like the whole thing we're doing now, right? So
Is there anyone from the board or who can answer that? And then we'll come back to your.
I can answer. We have to submit all the whole board, and we have to submit the minutes of that meeting. And so, my point of view is very clear that if we get a complaint for it.
Yeah, I guess that.
Yeah.
Francois?
So what you said was like if we do this procedural motion, it could go against the statutes, right?
Yes.
That's an issue. Okay. But maybe we should rewrite the statutes. So we shouldn't be able to do so, right?
So it's not a discussion for today, I think.
Yeah, we can change the statutes, of course.
Yeah.
No problem about that. But we can not change the statutes today.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Okta has something, or
so doing the registration and going through many of the loops of the wonderful bureaucracy that is Luxembourg. I think that depending on how this is worded in the minutes, I think the way that you worded it, I do not believe that it will be an issue. But again, this is my guesstimate, and it's Sebastian's guesstimate. We neither of us work at the Luxembourg Authority of Registration, and how we interpret the information that we've been giving by that authority or that we've read, those two could, obviously don't coincide. If there really is no way, I find, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, that most of the members and delegates here present do wish for all of the nominations to be available for people to vote on. If we are currently in a situation where our procedures and our statutes are working against what it is that we want, then we need to deal with that. If this is something else, then we need to deal with that.
Thank you. I was next. So, I'm not a Luxembourgish lawyer. I do work with legislation in my professional capacity. My interpretation of our statutes and the procedural motion, as I phrased the intent of Marketa, is that it is legally sound.
Yeah.
It is morally dubious and legally sound. That's the distinction. So, our statute says the Council may decide on additional rounds of voting and admission of new candidates if a position could not be filled. Now, the key thing here is position could not be filled. And the question is, if that is something that have to be done ex ante or post ante. So basically, can we decide before we even try that it couldn't be filled, or do we have to try and fail to see that it couldn't be filled?
Okay, but it's a different process. If we go to voting...
Yes, sorry.
You get a 50%.
Bastian, let me finish. So, to clarify, the way I see it, there's two potential ways where a position could not be filled. The straightforward one is to try and fail. That is very clear. We tried to fail, we couldn't fill it. I think everyone would agree with that. That is something we can do. The question is, can we, before we try, agree that we couldn't? Basically, we fail without trying. Morally, I would say we shouldn't. Legally, I think we can. If we have a procedural motion where we say we could not fill the position, that should hold up in most courts. I don't think, my knowledge of Luxembourg, that they are much stricter than other countries. My opinion of Luxembourg is that they're sort of a bit of, a shady country. So, saying that as the Luxembourgian delegate. Saying that as the Luxembourgian delegate. my point is.
Yes, I understand it. Nice idea.
So, Francois.
Marketa was first.
Okay, Marketa.
Okay. Well, I think it's kinda maybe this is for discussion. Depends on the definition of could not be filled. That's why I said previously the world could not be filled properly. I used this word, but we can maybe use another one because, of course, it can be filled technically, but I think that it can be filled if we want to be fair, you know, to everyone. That's how I would somehow phrase it. Not in the motion, but I would phrase it as the reasoning behind that, because I think I'm a very moral person. So saying that my motion is morally dubious is really hurting my feelings. So I'm explaining it.
Can I have a quick question about the historical member of the party? Is there, with the except of last year, do you have the same thing that happened, like late candidates that were accepted?
Yeah, but that actually happened because we had no candidates
with the
at all.
exception of last year.
No, we had one council meeting in 2014 in Brussels, you know about that, and there was the same rule.
Okay.
No candidates were accepted.
So, if I remember correctly, 2014 we started the organization and we elected on the spot.
No, it's not 2015, it's the second Brussels meeting.
2015, yes, then we had late candidates. And I'm not sure if some of those were actually sent in time, but
that's my question, you know, because
yes.
if some were accepted even one
yes,
day after, it's
but I don't have memories. My memory is in the computers. Sorry, there was another question here.
I just wanted to point out that in my experience, registration authority will take an entity's word and decision without any sort of meddling, without meddling, or you know, on its own, from its own accord. If a decision to any decision that is announced, such as you know, the registration of the board is challenged by somebody, they may have to, you know, make a decision. They may be forced to do it. They will probably not do it on their own accord, according to my experience with this. And I have, you know, a little bit of experience with it. Secondly, I want to, you know, say that I would very much like all delegates to be, you know, able to participate and be voted on. I really would. But I disagree with your assessment that this would be considered legal. Because if we can try and we do not do it, it's just, you know, it's common sense. This is the purpose of this statute is obvious. It's, you know, if there are no delegates, then we can ask for more. But if there are delegates enough to fill the positions available, then, you know, the point would be more.
Gregory, and then I will comment on that.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Gregory, Tony, and then.
Okay. So I do not know how the Luxembourg Registration Authorities Court works. I can tell you from my experience for the German registration court for my foundation 42, we had an extraordinary assembly last year to elect a new board because we haven't heard anything from our treasurer anymore, and we submitted it. Invited, had a whole meeting, and the registration court said, you said in the statutes the board is elected for 3 years. Why you are electing the new board? Please provide a written resignation form from the former treasurer, which we could not. So they cancelled the whole registration and sent it back. So we have elected it, but it's not registered, so we technically back to the old board. And we have to repeat the whole process. So the board, the register authority do read the statutes and do read the procedures. So that's my experience.
And the minutes.
And the minutes. They actually read it.
So, okay, maybe this is stupid, but so the parties that nominated in time was Catalonia, Czechia, and Germany. So if all three agree together to withdraw their nominations and resubmit them, then the problem is solved automatically.
That's a technicality.
That would definitely work. So, to answer your, no, there doesn't have to be no candidates, there have to be no suitable candidates, because otherwise it couldn't be filled, it would be if there were no candidates. So there's clearly a distinction between no suitable candidate, and you could say that a candidate was not suitable before they had proper competition. That would be a possible interpretation. So I think, going back to moral and legal, I'm not saying that, Makeda, you're an immoral person, but I think my moral on this issue is different from yours.
Okay.
I like Tony's idea.
So, you know, if all those parties want to do that, they can do so by their delegates, and then this procedural motion will be done.
We need 5 minutes to concur.
So my suggestion is that if we don't have more opinions on this, we close for lunch. After lunch, we will reopen this procedural motion if it's still needed, and then we will go to the elections.
Thank you.
Wait.
Before you break, so important thing here. So Okta will not speak until I give her the word. That's how it works. And you will not leave the meeting until I've adjourned it. So even if I say we're going to break for lunch, we're not breaking until I said we're adjourned, and then I do this. So, is there anyone else who want to talk on the discussion we currently have? We're still having a possibility for people to weigh in. Yes.
Well, just a short thing also to keep in mind. The statute says that a board is elected in the first council meeting every year. As we now heard from Makeda, there is proposed a council meeting or European meeting in February next year. Perhaps it's just to support the Icelandic point of view that, well, we're now voting about for 3 months. Why we're going...
There's a statute amendment for that. What? There's a statute amendment proposal for changing that.
Two things. My suggestion, don't open that kind of worms. Because we will have a full discussion on that thing as well. Marketa.
Okay, I will just say two things. First, yes, there's a proposal to change the statutes. And second, the thing in February won't be an official council meeting exactly because of these reasons, in case the proposal won't go as planned, so that we don't have to re-elect for after three months. So it will be just an election campaign meeting or something like that.
Gathering. Election council gathering instead of council meeting.
Is there anyone else who want to weigh in on the discussion? Okay, then we will adjourn the meeting, and after we've adjourned, we will... Are you talking about the meeting or the lunch?
Lunch.
Then after we're adjourned, Okta will talk about the lunch, and after she's spoken, you will know what to do next. With that said, we're adjourning the meeting until 2 o'clock, this kind of weird Icelandic time. Okta.
Lunch. So, what we've prepared for you is a pirate do-it-yourself type of lunch situation. So there is plenty of all kinds of stuff that you can build your own sandwich with. There is everything there. If you are vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you're an omnivore, which I know personally many of you are, just go to town. There's going to be plenty of food. If you need anything, let us know. There will be drinks. There are drinks over here. And if you need anything, find one of the Icelandic-looking people.
So blonde.
So yes, and so please have lunch, and we'll see you again soon.
I say yes.
Thank you for voting.
That's how we will.
Tak, ale
look serious.
Map potrzebuje tak. Projdziecie go.
Oh, sorry, you need to. May I first take a photo because
I will take picture of everyone. Just 5 euros per each.
Okay, and yeah.
So. Piratar and Marketa.
And then maybe on Navišku?
Yes, on the table.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Děkuju. Super. Děkuji ti. A co se týče mapa.
What is the German procedure?
First of all, congrats.
Thank you.
Stálo to za to, tu cestu, ne?
Jo.
3,500 kilometers. It was worth it.
Wow. Tortuga. Tortuga 21. Connect. Oh no. Oh, he has a call from a TV, so he's out there calling, I guess. Yeah.
Congratulations, Chair.
Thank you, fan.
That's right. Ah, that was a good one.
I always imagine all those fans, you know, looking up.
I'm the number one fan.
Na, ich bin mal wieder ganz allein. Ah. Zwischenspülen, ja. What would the Czech say?
Regarding throwing away the old nominations and
Well, as I proposed it, we want to vote yes, like to accept the late nominations.
But
Because
we have to
find
find we have to find a position being conform, three of us all, Catalan, German, and Czechs.
Yeah, we need
If we don't reach agreement, we won't be able to get for this late nominations.
Like, but you both, like both of your parties, have also late nominations. You don't want to deliver them.
No, there's some people. No, we have not. There's some person from Germany who have been late nominated by other parties, but they're not nominated by Germany.
Ah, okay.
Okay, like Thomas has been nominated by somebody else.
Ah, I see. And what about you?
But so it would still concern us, but we're just like
You have late nominations?
No, they're not.
I see.
Not
Well,
nominated.
but don't you think it's more fair because you know the board kinda we fucked up, and I think it's fair for the other parties so that they don't really pay for our fuck up that we called for the meeting so late. You know? That's why I proposed this.
I understand this, but on the other hand, you also have the argumentation of MAP.
Yeah.
This is a learning process.
And
If the parties are not able to learn this, so perhaps they learn with not getting in with this nominations.
Well,
And in the next time, they will be looking after to give the nominations. And if we're not going to February to a non-official council meeting, but going to an official council meeting, and if this 3 months, the now elected board is doing a good work, it will be re-elected in a quarter of an hour, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, I understand.
And as a
well,
Germany,
concerning,
we of course,
concerning just what MAP said, yeah, I need to react to Oliver,
Sure.
you know. Concerning what MAP said about the I just forgot. Yeah, about the learning process. That's actually, well, I understand it, but two things.
Of course we do.
First thing is that that's why I said that we will present a running schedule so that this won't happen again.
Okay.
So that we don't actually this. And second thing is that sometimes it is, I think, impossible for the party even like nominate beforehand, because maybe there's a new person that came into the party just a few like weeks ago, but he has a great vision, or you trust him because you know him for a longer period of time.
I'm not sure.
And
Maybe muted the
of course,
microphone now.
yeah.
Maybe. Not sure if it will do
When he
something.
finishes, could you ask him to come see me in the back?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be printing for that, like one time printing.
Yeah, okay.